Hello, everyone. I'm calling the Select Board meeting to order tonight at October 18th at 7:34 p.m. I would like a motion to open our meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. I'll take roll call now. Mr. Gito?
Here.
Mr. McCrisky?
Here.
Vice Chair Cavey?
Here.
Mr. Carrara?
Here.
And I'm here as well. If you're able, I ask everyone to stand to salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. In accordance with Governor Baker's declaration of June 16, 2021, granting certain pandemic-related authorizations related to public board and town meetings, and recently extended until March 31, 2023, this meeting will be conducted both in person and virtually via Google Meets. To join the meeting via Google Meets, we've posted the link, https meet.google.com bgp-nmme-kmi. The meeting may be recorded by SMAC Cable Television and broadcast live and may be live streamed at www.stoughtontv.org. A recording of the meeting, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings will be posted on the town's website and or SMAC as soon as possible after the meeting if live broadcast or live streaming is unsuccessful. Times are approximate and items may be taken out of order at the chairman's discretion. Before we get started, I would like to state on item number 15, discuss offer made to town to purchase land located at 850 Park Street. That offer amount is lower. It's actually $2 million. It was a typo indicating $2.5 million, but it's actually $2 million. With that, I open it up to citizens' comments. Yes, please step forward. Yes, and state your name and address.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Peter Banis, 41 Walnut Court, Precinct 2, Town Meeting Rep. I have with me tonight Joanne O'Reilly, who gave me some information after this December 6th special town meeting, and I'd just like to read this letter that I made sure that everyone had a copy of it into the record, and whatever happens after that is certainly up to the board, I believe. My constituent, Joanne O'Reilly at 356 Prospect Street, contacted me after the special town meeting of December 6th, 2021, regarding information at 400 Prospect Street and the issues about rodent infestation from construction work at 400 Prospect. She had communication with town officials about this problem. She told me she had major concerns about the issue. She does have emails from Mr. Tisdale and Lawrence Perry, Board of Health, dated 8/24/22. If I had known about this rodent issue at the special town meeting, I certainly would have presented it to the town meeting membership on 12/6. The fact that she had 4 meetings with the Concom canceled because of incorrect or incomplete paperwork seems unacceptable and now all of a sudden there's a meeting this Thursday, the 20th, just recently posted. This seems like a rush job. The discussions I've had with the select board members assure me that the project is a done deal. Maybe it is. My point today is to question the process of this project. If town meeting members knew that the rodent problem existed, would they possibly have reconsidered the cost difference for 850 Park? There are no wetlands involved. My concerns are many about the issues. the eminent domain action, the legal questions with the purchase, and the money spent on the engineering work that was 40 pages in the Stoughton Town Meeting book of December 6th. The advantageous rating for 850 Park was higher at 19.3 versus the 18.9, and the not advantageous rating was 14.8 for 850 Park. Why was there not a not advantageous rating for 400 Prospect? Just a question, just a thought. There is an item on the Select Board agenda regarding 850 Park tonight. I hope this opens up some discussion of the non-transparent process of this need for the fire station. I guess, as I stated earlier, the done deal. While the taxpayers deserve to hear the information since the Select Board members were denied attendance during the process. Respectfully yours, Peter Banis. Thank you very much. I hope that the conversation is done publicly, that the taxpayers who have had concerns about the non-transparency might get some answers. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Banis.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Laurie, please step forward. State your name and address, please.
Thank you. David Lurie, 18 Robinette Road. Thank you for your time. I've been trying to get to Glen Echo. Last time I heard there was something about some video cameras or electricity, I don't know. But before that, there was announced that there was going to be a open house, kind of like a soft opening, say, hey, everybody, come and look at the great work that was done at Glen Echo. I keep driving over there to look, and they did an excellent job of sealing it off with the fencing. You know, by the way, I used to go to Glen Echo to walk my dog, and it was much rougher, potholes everywhere, just rough trails. I imagine it's a lot safer than it used to be before they did the work. I just don't understand why we can't take a look at what our investment looks like. It just seems reasonable to just say, hey, let's have an open house, show the town what they have, even if you have to close it up to put the cameras in later. I just don't understand. So that's my concern.
Thank you, Mr. Lurie. Are there any other citizens' comments? So for the two citizens that step forward, I'll look into that. I'll work with our fellow board members and our town manager, Mr. Tisdale, and take some action on those. Thank you. Moving right along, I guess online, are there any citizens' comments? Okay. So that would be none. Moving right along to the next is select board comments. Mr. Gito.
Well, I guess I want to make sure that we all recognize that Deborah LeBlanc this may be her last meeting, and I believe all of us want to thank her for doing a wonderful job. She came in when I first got on the board. She was very helpful, and she's continued to be very helpful from that time forward. So thank you.
A great support. We're going to miss you, but I know where you are. You are just a wonderful person, and you're so thorough and organized, so thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. I've learned an awful lot from all of you, and I thank you for your help with the town. I don't know how you do it week after week, and there's so much involved that people have no idea how hard it all is. Thank you very much.
Mostly we like to come see you. Now I don't know what's going to happen.
That's true. Thank you, Mr. Gito. Mr. McCrisky, any comments?
Just to back up what my colleagues have said, Deb, and I've said before, that I've been here a long time, and go back quite a while, and I've never seen anyone come in and grasp control of an office that can be like an octopus. You know, I mean, it goes off in 15 different directions, and you have done a stellar job, one that's noticeably different than a lot of people before you. I thank you because I've been here a day where it was a very stressful day for you, and you were able to balance that, which can be difficult. And you definitely have worked hard for the citizens of the town. And I hope this job that you're going to, I know it is, it's a little slower paced, and you might be able to get out of here on time, you know? But thank you. You've done a great job, an awesome job. Thank you.
Vice Chair Cavey?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I have to agree with what everybody said. Deborah, I'm going to miss you a lot, and everything you've done. You've been an absolute MVP. You've always been there for all of us. You've been there for the citizens, and you know, I personally owe you a debt of gratitude. I think everybody here and in this town does. It's a very difficult position. You know, you've seen it, and you just every swing at the pitch has always been a home run. You've been amazing. We're going to miss you dearly, but it's good to know that you're only one floor away, so we can always come by and say hi. And there's another department that's going to benefit from your your experience and your professionalism and your charm. So just thank you so much.
Mr. Carrera?
Thank you, Deb, for everything you did, especially giving me everything in paper, and that, I really appreciate it. Good luck to you. I'll be seeing you.
Any other board comments as we go around? And with none, I turn it over to Town Manager Tisdale.
I certainly echo what the whole board just said to Deb. She was really a rock star. Since I've been here, the best by far in that position. I can say I don't have to say I'm going to miss you. Sorry, kicked out. Because you're going to be on the second floor in my area. So I appreciate that. And we're very lucky to have you. And it won't be as easy as they talk about. It's going to be very difficult down there. We're very tough people down there, so don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, all right?
First that balloon.
That's so much fun.
All right.
Mark, we had it all smoothed out for you.
All right. I do have a few other comments. I'll try to make them quick. This ain't working so well. Just an update on the ARPA funds. Go this one. All right, that's better. All right, an update on the ARPA funds. The $5.4 million that everybody's aware of for the Emergency Operations Center in downtown has been wired to our town bank account, so we have received those funds. And if you remember, there was also $978,000 that was approved by the board in the previous ARPA funds. So there's a roughly, $6.4 million in our bank accounts for the EOC Center in the downtown. Also talking about the downtown, a few properties over, the Malcolm Parsons building, as everybody's aware of. I just went and, got dinner, walked by. Pretty much the whole foundation's up. It's sealed. They're starting to put the footings in the middle, so that's good news. Hopefully, work progresses and continues as it has been lately, and we see a new building very soon. A couple messages from our Veterans Officer, Sean Rodriguez. At the O'Donnell Middle School, there'll be a assembly for local veterans in November where there will be a brunch, and they will let kids interview them and report to the assembly what they've learned. If you have additional questions, please reach out to Sean directly. On Saturday, November 5th, we will be reflagging the graves for all the veterans at the Holy Sepulchre and Evergreen Cemeteries. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. All right. I've screwed it up, so. Many people have found this to be a moving experience and have come away with a genuine sense of accomplishment, pride, and contentment. This is a great event to instill these feelings and values in our children, grandchildren, by honoring those who came before us, those who gifted all of us, and those who still abundant opportunities we all have today in our country. If you'd like details on this event, please reach out to Sean directly, and I believe that there's information on his website. Some more good news from our fire chief, Mike Carroll. He's been working with he is the emergency management director. He worked with MEMA. Norfolk County met the threshold to qualify for disaster relief monies incurred by the storm on January 29, 2022. Working with FEMA, program administrator Sarah Blackader and Paul Gaffoon and his staff at Public Works processed multiple documents and data. In a meeting today, they were awarded $150,000 in recovery money. So that's great news. Another comment from our fire chief, Mike Carroll. He was notified on November 18, 2022, the State Office of Public Safety, that Governor Baker will honor Stoughton Fire Department members whom Chief Carroll nominated for their actions during an extremely serious accident during these adverse conditions for outstanding acts of heroism and bravery at the 33rd Annual Firefighter of the Year award ceremony. A direct statement from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. It is my pleasure to inform you that Captain George O'Neill, Lieutenant Ryan Cabral, Lieutenant David Jardin, Firefighter John Hussey, Firefighter Jerry Fowler, Firefighter Morgan Genatosio, Firefighter Joseph Manganaro, boy, we've got some tough ones here. Firefighter George Sylvia and Firefighter Justin Slowinski will be honored for outstanding acts of heroism and bravery at the 33rd Annual Firefighter of the Year award ceremony. It's good news. Congratulations. One last comment. I'd like to just thank everybody who came out, and there was a lot of people that gave me their condolences about my mom passing away. I was not at last week's select board meeting because of that, and I really appreciate it. It meant a lot. So I always envisioned Stoughton as kind of like my second family. Even though I work here, I've been here for 11 years, and many of you I see quite often. So I've built more than just a working relationship with you, and I really appreciate everybody reaching out. So I thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Tisdale. Moving right along to our consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Yes, mostly just for brief discussion. But B, I would like I've sent in some comments on the meeting from October 4th, and I think they've been corrected, so I won't say anything about them. I'll just, when we vote, just as corrected, I think, on that. But C, D, E, and F, I'd like to just pull for a moment, just to be able to say a couple of words about them, if you don't mind, and see what you want to do.
Yes. Does anyone else want to pull an item?
I had C.
I had C. Okay. And I had I for a brief discussion. All righty. Mr. Gito, it's all yours. C first.
Thank you. On C, I'm in favor of inserting the information into the water bills, but I would like to see what is going to go on the website, and I haven't seen that yet, and that would be relating to the capital projects and how we're going to handle those, because I don't think people should think that just because an item is going to be on the list, that it's going to all of a sudden be the thing that gets dealt with, nor do I think that it's a sort of a vote to find out which item will be on the top of the list. I think that there's more to it than that. And so when we're explaining what it is in the water bill, I think we should, or online, I think we should make sure to be clear about that. That's the only thing I would have to say about that. And on items D, E, and F, none of these contracts have advanced the effort to get performance standards in them. They still have the old language that says we're going to plan, as opposed to making something happen. And so if we pass these without a change, then by June 30th, 2023, which is about 7 or 8 months away, we will not have anything further than that, and we will not have probably another contract for who knows how long. So we're just kicking the can down the road. Now, I don't know whether or not we want to deal with that now or not deal with it now. I mean, we could ask if that language could be modified to reflect the fact that the work, the planning to plan has to be done, and also a draft of performance standards available by the June 30th. I mean, a draft can be pretty drafty, but at least we're further along in the process than we will be if we don't do anything at all. And it's going to take a while to get something to happen. So that's just my comment on those 3 items.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in response to Mr. Gito's comments, Lou, I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm sorry?
I said I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that I would not want to hold up an agreement that's been bargained in good faith and then throw it, the 11th hour, throw a new twist into it. But I do believe that that is something that we should be getting going on so we can have something ready for the next contract. Because that's probably how long it's going to take, the way we get things done when we're bargaining. So I think we should have something that's ready to go during the next process, that's done, it meets the needs, and it's fair, and have it ready to go in the next contract. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. McCrisky. Mr. Carrara.
I'm going to echo the sentiment and agree with Mr. Gito. I appreciate what he said, but I asked to have the job descriptions brought to me, placed in a packet so I could see what they were, and I have not yet been able to get them. I was told the night that I said I wanted to see them by the HR girl that didn't matter to me to see them. And it does, just for this reason here. How can you evaluate anybody or set performance without us seeing job descriptions? But I can tell you what's going on. We're tailoring the job descriptions when we hire the people. We make the job description fit for that person when it comes through the door. But it was supposed to be all set, where we handed a 3-ring binder that had two pieces of paper in it. This is what we're going to do. This is when you'll have them. And I'm asking you now in the open that by the next meeting, I'd like to have what they've accomplished in all those job descriptions either for everybody or just for me.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carrera. Vice Chair Cavey, did you have any comments on this?
No, everyone's comments have been really, I think, right on the nose, and there's nothing really to add. I do agree that we ought to move forward with these agreements and not hold those up, but I agree wholeheartedly that we got to stop doing this. And so I'm on board with coming up with making sure it doesn't happen again, and getting in to these contracts exactly what Mr. Gito has pointed out is necessary. So thank you.
And I agree with my fellow board members. Actually, I have a copy of the binder that's to include the job descriptions, and they're not there. So I would like to defer to Mr. Tisdale, because I know he has a plan in place to get that language, unless I could be misspeaking, but I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Tisdale so he can tell us where we are with this.
Yeah. So to clarify, D and E were MOAs and contracts previously approved by town meeting. What our council did is they rolled the MOAs into the previous contracts to make a new contract. So we can't negotiate new language for those, but moving forward, yes, you can certainly negotiate that. For the job descriptions, I do have great news for you. They're sitting on my desk in a binder. So, and before the last meeting, I was going to ask you how you want them distributed, so I can get copies and scanned, printed, whatever anybody wants to your board for review. I know he's going to want paper, yes. So we will get you paper, Scott. The rest of you scanned copies if you'd like that. So. But I agree. I think any good employee would like to be reviewed and have performance standards. So,
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Okay. Mr. Gito, going back to Mr. Gito, any other
No.
item? We're all set? Okay. My item I, which is the Comcast agreement update with language referencing quarterly payments. Is Attorney Hewitt online? Because that's the language the last conversation. Oh, go ahead.
Did send it today. It's in the green folder to be signed,
Okay,
and he said that is the complete final contract.
excellent. Okay, then I'm all set with this. Mr. Carrera.
On C, the inserts,
Yes.
how are we paying for those?
Yes, Pamela McCarthy, would you please step forward, state your name and your title? And thank you so much for all you do in putting this together.
You're welcome. Pam McCarthy, the Economic Development Director and the Acting Town Planner. So there were a couple of questions, but as far as how to pay for the inserts, basically there should be some money in the planning budget to pay for the printing. I've put them together so that there's 3 on each page, because that's the size that Karen Brown had told me she needs from the water department. And I don't remember the exact amount, but this is the method that I used for the Friends of Stoughton Center when they were raising money for their plants. It was very effective to get the word out through the water bill. That's why I was trying to use it for 2 different things this time. And then also, as far as the survey was concerned, is it okay if I answered that question?
Please do.
So the town manager had asked me if I could put together a survey. He showed me what the select board had already answered as far as special capital projects. He wasn't available, obviously, so I put the survey together, but I wasn't able to show it to him until today. So I didn't want to give you anything in your packet that hadn't been approved yet. But I was planning to come to you to get permission to do more outreach through the water bill for the Stoughton marketing app. So at the last minute, I thought, well, since we're trying to get the survey answered by the public, we might as well put that on the outreach also, because it would be a good opportunity to reach as many people as possible with the survey. And Mark did review the draft today. Basically, I just took the 6 items that I was told you wanted to get the opinion of the public about, and it's a scale of 1 to 5, just to rate it as important as they feel that it is. And then I put an open-ended question at the end, just saying, are there any other capital projects that you feel the town should consider? So that was how I put that together.
Thank you, thank you. That was very descriptive. Mr. Gito, did that answer your question? I think you had one more, how we were going to, what would be the insert into our website? What would be the description, or something to that extent?
I guess in terms of setting expectations for the people who are taking the survey, take the time to get the information back, it just seems appropriate to say, we want to get your input, but we're not going to just count the things to say the highest one is going to be the one on the list. We're trying to get information and getting your advice, but we need to, I think getting advice is more than just counting the number, and that's the only other part that I was hoping might get onto that survey.
So the first sentence on the survey is, the town of Stoughton would like your input. So that is on there, but we can also add something basically just saying this is for informational purposes only at this time.
Thank you.
And then I also added, because this board wanted the information, that the results would be made public during a select board meeting. You can let me know whether you want to leave that on there or not.
Yes, please leave that on.
Okay.
Thank you. I wanted Mr. Carrara, and then Vice Chair Cavey, did you have a comment? No.
I've got a couple
Okay, Mr.
comments.
Carrara.
I'm glad to see that we can use the water bill, because when I was trying to put the final thing together for the 80-plus trash break, a former person told me that I couldn't use the water billing system for that information, that it wouldn't handle it and this and that. So I'm kind of glad that now the ship's over the edge now, and we can do what I wanted to do, because that would be how you could reach the actual people, instead of saying, hey, there's a break. Some of them are shy. At least if it comes inside, maybe they'll understand it a little better. So now I'll be able to bring it forward to you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrara. Vice Chair Cavey.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I originally didn't have a comment, but I kind of thought up something I had a question about. So I think this is a good idea. I think, I appreciate all the work you've put into it. And I agree with Mr. Gito. I think that this is not, we're not sort of having a unofficial ballot question, right? This isn't something that's going to be determined by surveys, Survey Monkey, on the one hand. The information, gathering the information together is going to be really valuable. I guess the one question I have is, the person who gets the water bill in a household, maybe might be the only member of the household. There could be 2, there could be 5. How do we have you kind of anticipated how to get the input of more than just one person through this means? Are you providing a link that people can use?
Yes, there is a link, and we can decide whether or not the one email address is able to fill out multiple surveys. So
Okay.
that would take care of the problem of multiple people in one household. And this is only one method of outreach. We can still put it in the town crier, the town manager's Facebook page, and a dozen other places. This was just, in my experience, this has been one of the best ways to reach most of the public.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, great. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for stepping forward.
Thank you.
All
Oh,
right.
and the deadline, the reason I'm here tonight is because they need the inserts by November 7th in order to get them into the November water bill.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. If there are no further questions on the consent agenda,
Motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes to item C, I think. No, B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Moving right along to continuation of the public hearing of October 4th, the Common Vic application, Right Taste Jamaican Restaurant. Will the owner step forward? But we do need to reopen the public hearing, and I will turn it over
Motion.
to, motion to,
Motion to open the hearing?
and I have second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes. Please state your name again, and you're the owner of
Good
Right
evening,
Taste
everyone.
Jamaican.
My name is Donovan Francis. I'm the owner of a Right Taste Jamaican restaurant at 354 Washington Street, Stoughton.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome there.
Please have a seat. Vice Chair Cavey?
Yeah, so the last time you were here, I think there was just a request the only request was to include a seating chart in your floor plan. That's included. I see six total seats available, which matches, I believe, what you had advertised. So we have everything that we've requested, and I appreciate you coming back to us. I will actually, among the board, start by asking the question I ask every restaurant owner in the town, people who serve the restaurants here. I just want to know about your menu and the things that you're, if you have any specials, anything you recommend.
Yeah. Well, I would specialize in.
Sure, you grab the mic.
oxtail. I would specialize in oxtail, curry goat, steak, jerk chicken, jerk pork, shrimp, fish, in rice and peas, white rice, and yellow rice.
It's all the good stuff.
Beef patty, and chicken, and vegetable.
Excellent. I'm right around the corner, so I'll be there.
Thank you.
Mr. Carrera?
I just have, can we amend his application from where it said takeout only to have it written in that he's going to have those seats? That way everything will be right for him.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? So I think we're
All set.
okay. Want to motion?
Just the public.
Got to go to
Ask
public.
the public, I'm sorry. Citizens' comments, citizens' questions to the restaurant owner, please.
Motion to close the hearing.
Okay, can I get a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to
And-
approve.
With your...
Yes. With the change in the application. Yes, Mr. Gito.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
All right, yeah. Okay, moving to the item number 8, that is the Stoughton Equal Opportunity Committee application, that's SEOC. So we have a total of 3 openings. And before I start, I would like to say we have 2 people that did not renew, and that was Chris Harper and, oh my goodness, all of a sudden her name. No, not Faye. Doreen Lindsay. I'm sorry about that. Wonderful contributions. One person moved to another town. They just closed on the house. The other person had another commitment that was in conflict. So I would like to say they brought value to our meetings and helped us to move forward, and I'm sorry that they are not renewing. With that said, we have 3 openings.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. McCrisky.
First, do we have the remaining 3, Faye Howard, Chris Shannon, and Tamisha Civil? Are they in the audience tonight?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I think we'd probably want to hear from them first, and then I would,
Oh,
I just want to
Yes.
mention too, there are only 3 applicants now for the 3 openings.
so you,
Mr. Whiting rescinded his application.
oh, he did?
Ms. Hopper rescinded their application.
Oh, okay.
I sent you an email.
yep.
Oh, no, I did not see that. So we have 3 and 3, but we would like to meet the applicants. So proceed, Mr. McCrisky, you were going to ask one by one to move forward? I mean,
Sure, I'll just go off the list, Madam Chair. Faye Howard is first on the list. If you could come forward, Faye, and it's good to see you again. Just from your eyes and your position on the committee, if you want to just give us your thoughts and where you see the committee moving forward to.
The past year has been very productive. I think it has been a journey for us. We continue to make progress. And I think it's been really foundational for us, and we see ourselves really starting to take off and get involved in other activities that will help to move the efforts towards diversity and inclusion forward for the town. We've formed a good partnership with the Human Resources Department here at the town, I think, and we are very much aligned with doing the work in terms of recruitment and hiring. And I think that that has evolved very well, and so we'll continue on that journey. For me, I will say that being able to continue that work is important. I'm a resident of Stoughton. I have been for the past 4 years, and seeing the progress that we're starting to make it's really exciting. And so with that, I would like to continue my work with the committee. I think we have some things coming up that are going to be important to work on. And, we continue to figure our way as we go along. So, and look at the resources that are available to us to help us with that journey.
Great.
thank you. Before you leave, do we have any other questions for Faye? Oh, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faye.
Don't want to ask any questions. We may not want to serve for the next 3 years, all right? Don't ask too much, folks. We're going to lose them here. 3 openings, 3 people. Oh, boy. Okay. Chris Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, just the same, if you'd like to share your experience on the committee and some of the things you've been the happiest about being on the committee, and where do you see it going forward?
So Ms. Shannon is not on the committee.
Not on the committee.
yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
But-
same question, though. If you were a committee member, okay, let's leave it that way. I thought it was an incumbent. I'm sorry. But
No.
why are you applying? What do you think you could do, and how can you make a difference?
Sure. So thank you all for providing this space, and I am so excited to see the town doing this. We moved to Colorado for 1 whopping year, and the pandemic brought us back, so I feel that it's fate that I'm back here. Previous work that I have done is in community development, working in underserved and under-resourced communities through the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. I've also worked in workforce development in the cities of Quincy and Lawrence, working with lower-income populations and populations of color, working on equitable employment opportunities. And I've worked as a public school instructor, K through graduate school, getting my start in Richmond Public School Districts in Virginia. So I bring a wide variety of systems experience to the table in underserved communities, and I would love to bring that lens to further the good work of the committee.
Great. No questions, right?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to say something.
Absolutely.
I did read your resume, and I was very impressed, and I'm very happy that you have decided to take the time to do this. I think that'll be very helpful to us.
I enjoy serving the town of Stoughton.
Thank you.
And Tamisha Civil. I'll say it's nice to see you in person. Sure as heck, I've seen your signs up and your ads and all that.
I know.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thank you, everyone, for having me this evening. As you all may know, I'm Tamisha Civil. I'm a resident of Stoughton. I'm looking to bring fresh, new, bold ideas. This will be the first time being in this committee. A little bit about me. I work in Stoughton at Stoughton District Court. I'm a legal advocate for domestic violence shelter. I work as an associate probation officer for Mass Probation Services, and I have a master's degree in criminal justice and leadership from Northeastern. So I have a variety of things that I can bring into this committee. I'm also I'm not sure if that will affect anything, but I'm also part of the Stoughton Sustainable Energy Committee as well. So I'm just looking to be more engaged with the community, especially bridging the gap with the young people. There's a lot of professionals that live within the Stoughton area, and they ask me questions, what's going on with Stoughton? What can they do? And I feel like given the opportunity that I have to serve the community in various different areas, I think I can bring, some good ideas and how we can be committed and help this community move forward together.
Great. Anybody? Questions?
Right.
Great.
Without any...
Awesome. So with that, Madam Chair.
I have the same comment as I said to the last person. Thank you very much. You will bring
Thank
a
you
lot
so much.
to the town.
Thank you. And there's also a large Haitian population, and I speak fluent Haitian Creole, so I think that would help as well.
Thank you.
Great.
And just two things. When Doreen was heartbroken that she could not renew her term, one of her comments when she was leaving, she says that she recommended that this committee be more diverse. So I took it to heart. And I think Faye, I think Tamisha, and I think Chris will add such great value to this committee.
With that, Madam Chair, unless there's any opposition, I'd be prepared to make a motion to nominate Faye Howard, Chris Shannon, and Tamisha Civil to the vacancies on the committee.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, bad habit. Takes a while to go away, I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
To all of you.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving right along to the next item, that is the Stoughton 300th Anniversary Committee. Before we start with the appointments, I would like to just have some questions to the board members. How large do you think this initial committee should be? Because I believe as time goes on, it should grow because we probably need someone focused on entertainment or food or things. 25,000, there we go, going once, going twice, right? But the initial group should be much smaller.
Yes.
And right now, we have a total of 5 applicants to start a plan of action. So what are your thoughts about an initial group of 5?
Madam Chair, if I may, I was the one that ran the 275th committee back in 2001, and I agree completely. Right now, I think we have a perfect committee for the start of it. As events are put together, as the agenda grows, we'll need more people to help out. So, I mean, I really think the 5 and the people that we have here, Cynthia Walsh was here. She was with the 275th as well. And, I think with David Lambert, Joanne Callahan, and I don't know Patricia Randolph, and I apologize, and Paul Carpinella. I don't, that name sounds familiar, but it doesn't ring off that I've met them. But again, the smaller the committee to start off is going to be helpful, because There's things that I can provide them as well on some of the events that we ran that were free and some that were sponsored, and just get the ball rolling. And then as things develop, you're going to need people to, parade chairman, you're going to need a different, we had an event for the elderly, and it was a white glove tea that we had at St. James Parish. And, that was a great event, for the seniors, but it was a lot of work. But it doesn't take a lot of work to put it on paper and say what you're going to do. So I think this size of this committee is perfect to get going. And I would leave it up to our committee members, so that if they feel it's becoming too much, a burden on the existing 5, we come back and we put some more people on the committee. So just my thoughts.
Before Mr. Gito, Deborah LeBlanc?
Mr. Campanella is interested. He had a conflict and he couldn't make it this evening.
Oh, okay.
He still wants to
Okay.
be considered.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Gito?
I don't disagree with the previous speaker, but I think that when the group comes together, they should look at what collectively they have as skills, and if they see other things that need to be done, we should advertise or do whatever we need to do to help them find people with those skills. Because you could have 3 people in one area and no people in someplace else, and we want to have it successful. The 200th anniversary was something that my father remembers and remembered. And they had a big pond, as a matter of fact, down where the high school is now. And a whole lot of activities going on. I'm sure we're not going to develop another pond, but at the same time, 300 years is much different than a 275th anniversary, which Joe and I were all marched in, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Joe. I have
I rode in
cups
the
and
car.
everything else.
I rode in the car.
Well, maybe I did too. I hope. So that would be my only suggestion.
Great.
Do you want to go around?
Sure, Mr. Carrera.
I just have a little housekeeping. We didn't get an application from Paul Campanella, and we didn't get one from Ms. Walsh.
I believe we did. Mr. Campanella and Ms. Welch, we did not. She was the first person to.
She can fill one out so that it can be put in the folder so it's proper.
All right, will do. Vice Chair Cavey?
Madam Chair, to your comment about the size of this, given the scope of what I think has to happen, I'm using my imagination to some degree, this will sort of fit in for me, I'd be looking for a group that was no smaller than 3 and no larger than 7, 5 kind of being a magic number for it. So I think the fact that we have 5 candidates is really perfect for me. And I agree with everybody. If they come back and they say they need some additional support, then I would definitely support them, and if we need to bring additional people in. But one of the things that stands out about the resumes of the people, or I should say the applications of the people who have asked to be involved, is that they all have reputations for getting things accomplished, and I have a huge respect for that. I want to see them succeed. So I trust their judgment in this, and look forward to what they come up with.
All right. Any further comments? I'm open to accept a motion to accept the slate.
So made. Second.
Just before we do, if anybody from any of the applicants wants to just kind of come up and speak, I won't stop them. You don't have to, but I would love to hear from anybody who's interested in being part of this committee.
Okay. I saw,
Cynthia put her hand up.
before that, it was Dr. Patricia Niles Randolph.
Oh,
Had her
okay.
hand up.
I didn't see that, I'm sorry. Now I can say I know you.
Hello,
are you?
everyone. Thank you for allowing me to participate in this. So how should I start introducing myself?
That would be great.
Yes, my name is Dr. Patricia Niles Randolph. I'm a resident of Stoughton, and I've been here, my husband and I have been here 17 years. I am a retired elementary school principal from Boston. And I am an educational consultant. I founded Focus on Learning, and in my wonderful retirement years, I do consult, teach student and parent advocate. I go to schools with parents when they can't quite navigate the special ed department, or they're having issues with their kids' learning, or conflicts with administration. So that's what I do. I also do volunteer work. I am a member of the Fair Foods organization, and we sponsor the $2 bag program and farmers market in conjunction with the old Colony YMCA, and that is very exciting. It's every Wednesday from 3:30 to 5:30, and we get to set up and meet community members, and it is fabulous. It's a wonderful place. If you've never gone to the farmers market at Fair Foods every Wednesday at 3:30 at the Old Colony Y in Stoughton, you should come. What else can I tell you about myself? Before I was a principal, I was a guidance director I've been in BPS about 40 years. I was a guidance director for 15 of those years. Prior to that, I was a 6th grade math teacher. I'm a licensed social worker. I have a master's in counseling psychology and in educational administration, and my doctorate is in educational leadership. Oh, what else? I took a few notes, so if you don't mind, I'd like to refer to them. One of the
Dr.
other...
Niles Randolph, we are totally impressed with all your credentials.
Well, because you're not asking me questions, I really don't know what you want to hear.
No, I just want to get.
I'm done.
I just want to get to know you.
I like how you finished.
I don't really like talking to
I like that. I'm
I
done.
want to always talk about myself, and you weren't talking to me.
You should be sitting up here when you could say, I'm done, like that. I like that.
I'm done.
The meetings to move a little faster.
Thank
no
you.
No disrespect intended.
Thank you. I fell on the spot. Thank you for allowing me to be finished.
I'll hit you with a question.
Yes.
Is your husband a +1?
Is he a what?
A +1 to the committee?
His
head's nodding back there.
He's a veteran. He has.
Please step forward.
My husband is engulfed in veteran concerns, and so that's his baby, which I support tremendously.
And that needs to be a part of this celebration as well.
Oh,
that's great.
We love Stoughton.
Right.
He will celebrate with us. Absolutely.
Right. He's back there thumbing up and everything. Look at it. It's good. It's good. You know what they say, happy wife, a happy life, right?
One thing I've noticed about Stoughton, it's a melting pot of so many different cultures and races and religions. We live on Queen Anne Way, and it's 4 cul-de-sacs in a circle, Bassett Circle, and it's so multiracial. It's wonderful. I mean, we have Russians, Asians, Jewish, Haitians, European. It's a wonderful thing, and what I hope, I don't know very much about what you do in your celebrations, but if we involve the young and the old, the seniors, the different cultures, and what they celebrate as a part of being a member of the Stoughton community, it's going to be fantastic.
Right. The Stoughton community changes, and what we tried to do in our committee as well is to do the same thing. You know, and we had a couple events that were just, so many different people there. And the town changes over the years, and I always jokingly say to some of my colleagues in town that the people that I remember when I got involved, some years ago, if they ever came back to life, someone would say, wow, it's so different.
Very different.
But that's always happening. It's always changing, and I said we're proud to say we've been diverse for a long time.
It's
It started
wonderful.
a long time. And,
I have friends who've been here for 40 years, and they can attest to everything that you're saying. Yeah.
So we're happy to have you. And your husband. He's back there. He's supportive.
Back there. So one other thing.
Okay.
I work closely with the library also. I'm a children's book author, and I've had opportunities to go to the library, read to the children, and that's really exciting also. So I love the youngsters as well as the seniors.
That is so wonderful.
I don't know what else to say.
You've said a lot and totally impressed. I know your husband was here a couple of months ago, and he was
Yes.
talking about the Veterans Monthly event, and totally dedicated to that. But did Mr. Gito, did you have something else to say, or are we ready to approve the slate?
Well,
I
thank
think-
you.
Good.
I appreciate you.
Yes, we appreciate you too, and everyone.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak? Don't feel obliged, but
Yeah.
if you're on the committee and would love to speak, we'd love to hear
Ms.
from you.
Walsh, please step forward and state your name again, please.
Cynthia Walsh. I remember the 250th, the parade actually started at the Brockton-Stoughton line, so I just had to sit on my front porch. And then I was part of the 275th. No one mentioned my gala.
Sorry. I didn't mention a lot.
What happened with that committee, as the previous chair has mentioned, is people have levels of expertise. I did the gala. Someone else did a pet show. I'm also on the board of directors of the Old Stoughton Music Society. They certainly want to participate if there's any musical program. We had a musical program. For the 275th, we had pretty much a major event every month, because luck would have it, Stoughton's birthday is December 22nd. So that spreads out the celebration. And if someone will mail me an application, I will be honored to fill it out. I've been on library committees. I'm on the Veterans Memorial Committee. I'm the chair of municipal operations. I've been in town meeting for 39 years. I've been on the Cedar Hill Committee for 44 years, and certainly Cedar Hill has some activities we could use. As a previous speaker mentioned, if you remember the 250th, there was a real effort to involve the Portuguese community, because in 1976, many of those folks were fairly recent arrivals, and the different groups were very active. And I just remember a sea of the ladies from the different Portuguese clubs wearing colonial dress. There is a way, even if there's only 5 of us or 7 of us, everybody knows somebody, and we can get connections to the Portuguese community, to the Jewish community, to the different churches. We can involve everyone, and that's my goal, because it's an anniversary of Stoughton. And Stoughton wasn't started by the Pilgrims. We weren't started by the Puritans. And a lot of the folks that came here were Italian and Irish. I think Immaculate Conception was one of the first Catholic churches outside of Boston that was built entirely by Irish contributions. And now, of course, there's Brazilians. I saw in today's Globe that some of the Venezuelans who were shipped off to Martha's Vineyard in an attempt to embarrass Massachusetts are living in Stoughton. So we've never had gates at the borders, and I think the anniversary should celebrate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
And I know my legs don't work, but my brain's still fine, and you can see my mouth is.
Thank you. Any more comments from the board? We have a motion on the table. We have a second.
Another hand.
Oh, please step forward. State your name and address, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. David Allen Lambert, 1108 West Street, Stoughton. I just want to add that I'm being an applicant for this committee is something I'm fulfilling from when I was 7 years old. I went to the 250th anniversary, and I met Ed Meserve, Johnny Stiles, names that a lot of you may or may not know. And they looked at me and said, "You seem interested. You've got to run the next one." Well, it wasn't the 275th because Joe did that.
I would have given it to you.
Yeah, I know you would have. I had a new baby at home at that point in time.
Yeah, me too.
But the 300th is my way of paying back. I joined the local historical society when I was 11 years old. I've been with them 42 years now, and I've served as vice president twice for the past 16 years, and also when I was 15. I've written 4 books on the town of Stoughton. I run a newspaper column, did a TV show. But the thing I really want to show, and I think I echo the people that have come before me here, is that Stoughton is not just one voice, it's many voices. But one specific voice that was ignored at the 200th, not remembered at the 250th so much, was the original families. The Massachusetts Ponkapog. There are still residents in the town of Stoughton who descend from the original peoples of this town before it was settled by colonists, and they need a voice in this historical anniversary. I look very much forward to celebrating everyone's story, and as a genealogist, I think this is a great way to embrace that a history of a town is only the story of its people, and the story of its people will run the full 300 years as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lambert. Okay, anyone else? Okay, please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Callanian of 695 West Street, Stoughton. I have been in Stoughton a very long time because I'm not 16 years old. I have worked on the 250th with Joe a little bit. I retired and recently lost my husband, Joe Callanian, who has done plenty in the background. He was my background for many things. I've done many, many parades and lots of volunteer work in the town. I retired as an HR generalist. Prior to that, I was an event specialist. So the qualifications, I helped run the big Thanksgiving parade in Plymouth. So I do have a lot of background stuff that my mother taught me, more or less. And the main thing she always taught me was just be kind to everybody. And I try to live that quota. I do miss my background because he is the one who built all those floats that were in the parade, and we're the ones that won every year and passed that trophy on. And I could not decorate a parade without him building it. So I'm hoping for new help and new hopes of the town, and I thought this might be a good chance for me to get on my own 2 feet without him and learn to help this town. And I think there's a lot of ideas I have, and unfortunately I speak up too much sometimes. I am on the Historical Society, and I've been on a lot of different programs in the town. And I'm looking forward to it, just to get some of the ideas going.
That is so wonderful. Like it's a good group. Oh my goodness, I could feel the energy.
There's a level with Joanne, and she's very bashful, and she'll say is, folks remember when we had the Lincoln Memorial exhibit at the Historical Society years ago? Joanne brought that here with her brother. You know, that's so she is, she is like chairman material, David. But Joanne, I've seen her in action, and she's going to be a great asset to this community.
Thank you,
Great.
Joe.
That's wonderful.
So I felt pretty confident before, but now I'm absolutely sure we're in good hands. We are in very good hands. I'm grateful for everybody who stepped up to volunteer for this. You're all wonderful examples of what's wonderful about this town. Thank you very much.
Madam Chairman, if I may, I'd like to move the, do we do the nominations? Did we do the nominations?
Yeah.
We did?
A slate?
Okay. Okay. Well,
Right.
well,
Slate?
We do
We
that?
just have to take them.
okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Congratulations, everyone. That's wonderful. Someone will be in touch. Moving right along to item number 10, and that's the update on the SMAC social media access contract.
Oh.
Please step forward, state your name and your affiliation with the organization, affiliation with SMAC, and if you are a Stoughton resident, let us know where you left.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the rest of the board. I'm John Stagnoni, President of Stoughton Media Access Corporation. And with me tonight is our attorney, Attorney Joseph Zoppo.
Thank you. Welcome here tonight. Thank you. We've shared a lot of emails going back and forth.
14 pages or so.
Yeah. So if you could start off just reviewing the contract with us.
Sure.
Sorry about that. I'll get it, Joe.
The preamble
Oh, but we can't do it now because he's just, okay. You're ready now.
Terrific.
Thank you.
The preamble was updated, but we kept a lot of the language that was in the original agreement, and I had previously said a red line with this final agreement, and I'll just track it and explain the differences, or I can just answer any questions you had. Obviously, the Access Corporation is being designated by the municipality to provide PEG programming. The preamble explains that. It explains that it's done so under the cable contract or something that might supplant or supersede the cable contract, maybe streaming. It explains that the town of Stoughton is looking to participate in providing that PEG access by way of this access agreement with the Stoughton so-called Media Access Corporation, or SMAC for short, if I may. It describes in definitional form at the bottom of page 2 and carries over into 3 the various players and definitions of those players and documents in the contract, and I can go through them as well. Those largely were unchanged from the previous contract. Sorry about that. The designation contract, provision in Article 3
was changed to speak to the potential that maybe Comcast or a future PEG programming funding source would be other than cable TV. Again, speaking to the potential for streaming or another method of distribution of PEG programming. The term of the designation was to track provision later in the contract such that if there was not a default or uncured default in the contract, that it would continue. And that there was, of course, the opportunity for the issuer to continue the contract unless it's terminated for good cause, and that's explained in Article 8. The bottom of page 4 in Article 5 explains the operating rules and procedures, and largely that's unchanged, except we mentioned that the cooperation of Comcast, Verizon, or a successor licensee in that paragraph in terms of scheduling the public access channels and managing the facilities and equipment is up to SMAC, and that SMAC will promulgate and maintain a set of operating rules and procedures. That was not particularly changed. In Section 2, programming on the public access channels, unchanged. It's PEG programming, and the editorial discretion is up to the content providers. And it also provides that SMAC is not going to sell part of itself to anyone without offering it to the town of Stoughton first. And then any liability, license, or copyright fees associated with the program produced by SMAC, I think, is self-explanatory. It's the sole responsibility of SMAC. Coverage of local meetings is what it's one of the charges. That's the public charge. And it explains that the SMAC will cover the meetings. It'll try to the extent that it has the resources for anything in addition to the meetings it now covers. The cooperation with the school department is the educational piece of it as well. And it's going to assist in the coverage of significant school events so that all the residents have news of that. Municipal government, like what's going on here, is being covered this evening, thankfully, and will continue to be so. And if there's additional programming that the town decides would like to be part of the programming based on available resources, that SMAC would like to help out as much as it can. The logs are still a requirement. The insurance at $1 million and $2 million is left unchanged, and the workers' comp is provided by Massachusetts statute.
Madam Chair, if I may, a question?
Sure.
Yes,
Just a real quick one. I'm looking at one here. Are we going to get one that shows the additions and the red lines?
Yes.
All right, we'll get that, because the one I'm looking at now is just black and white type, so.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you. That's all I had a question. Thank you.
Well, I would like to, oh, you were going to say Mr. Stagno, because I was in reference to Mr. McCrisky's question. We did distribute a red line version.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's what I
Mr.
was gonna
Stagno-
say.
Okay, the latest one I opened, it's not red line, so
Yep.
it,
Well, there was no other changes after the red line version that you had received.
okay, all right, so, all right.
I think
If it's already there, I'll look it up. I'm sorry.
I think it
didn't
was
see I just
September-
opened up the last one I had.
No problem. I think it was September 19th.
Okay,
It was
thank you.
both of them. Okay, the indemnification provisions are unchanged. And of course, SMAC indemnifies the municipality in case of a problem. And SMAC itself indemnifies employees in case of a problem. And there's sort of a more complete description of what is being indemnified and the kinds of claims. There was 2 changes, in 8A, to include claims based on obscenity, civil rights. The rest of them are the same as they were in the original agreement. In Section 9, we tried to
put a procedure that made sense to everyone. I think I did listen in on town council's comments on this, and we tried to make it very even-handed, but put in a rational procedure about auditing and reporting. We provided for tax extensions, which was previously not provided for. And of course, the municipality is invited to do a performance review, and then there's some periods of time, if there's a problem discovered and a reference to Article 8 in handling it, if there's a deficiency, breach, or default, that as a result of doing its annual audit or the financial report, that the town feels it would like to follow up on. We eliminated the editorial discretion because it seemed duplicative. We already have, there is already a provision about SMAC not being able to sell itself to anyone else without your approval. So, page 9, there really wasn't much in the way of changes. And that starts with section 11 at the bottom of 8, although on the clean copy, I'm not. Yeah, in the clean copy, it's a little further up, page 8. There isn't any amendment to bylaws without notice to the town, the issuing authority. SMAC has to maintain records equipment and an equipment inventory as it has. Access to the records as it's been is open to you folks at such reasonable times as you can agree upon in reasonable places, whether that's producing them here, emailing them, or however the information is agreeable to share. And then it seemed like a typo in 14. We replaced same with municipality because I think that actually was intended, but I think it just made it somewhat clearer. Reversion of property upon termination. Obviously, if SMAC is terminated, the property is public property and remains so. On renewal, we made it additional terms such that the agreement doesn't by itself terminate, sort of like registration in a car. It is self-extending unless and until there's a problem by way of audit, by way of breach, by way of default, which is dealt with in Article 8. And if the cure provisions are not complied with, or the town doesn't believe that those cure provisions are complied with, then there are liquidated damages, which are a non-exclusive remedy, and there's a calculation for them later. Filing a bankruptcy is an event of default. I'm just going to go to the clean copy for a moment because it's a little tough to read. Okay, so Article 7B, capital B, the designation for good cause shown can be pulled by the town. It's similar to C, but it's somewhat different in that C is drafted as a withdrawal of the designation rather than an expiration of the term or a termination of the agreement. But other than an expiration of the term, it seems to amount to the same thing. So we left that unchanged. Then determination of a breach and sanctions. Section 1 on page 10, about halfway down the paragraph, is pretty much unchanged, except that we qualify the breach as a material breach. It wasn't clear to us what an actionable breach was versus a material breach, so we just substituted a word to show that it was something substantial. I'm sorry. In the carryover paragraph, on the top of 11, well, in the clean copy, we're still on 10. We go through the procedure of the different kinds of breaches, whether there was a breach, or whether there was not a breach, and then if there was a breach, there's a division between fault and no fault, a cure provisions given, and then the town has to decide, municipality has to decide, whether or not it's either waived or cured or not been sufficiently addressed. And then there's time limits in the following paragraph so that people aren't, neither the town, the select board is left hanging or smack as to a determination of whether those breaches have been adequately dealt with. The liquidated damages provision is not particularly changed, except that it runs, there's a definition now of when it begins, and it begins to run from the day of the notice of the municipality's determination of an election that there was a breach. Otherwise, it's very unclear when you'd start those liquidated damages, and they're substantial. So we wanted to clarify the start date. Article E refers back to, Section E of that article refers back to Section 1, just to make clear that we're talking about the breaches in Section 2. The funding and the annual support wasn't particularly changed, except that it captures something other than cable TV, another method of distribution of public access programming, and then just invoicing, which I think is unchanged, which is that it's the municipalities billed monthly in arrears, which I think is the practice now, if I'm not mistaken. And then it gives the option to the municipality of how it makes payment directly or through the municipality from the licensee. Then there's a provision for a cable advisory committee. We made it conditional because there doesn't seem to be one, and it could be SMAC, but that, of course, is up to you folks. So we made that clear. I think largely the rest of the article and the beginning of Article 12 are just clarifications of a word here or there, not substantive. Although if you read this and you have questions, I'm happy to speak to them. The construction just makes clear that it's a Massachusetts contract and is enforced in Massachusetts. The notice provision in Section 7 clarifies how notice is provided, and that it can be by overnight. You just need either SMAC or the municipality needs to have proof of delivery, so everybody's sure that the people that need to got notice, and it's the select board chair and the president of the SMAC that the notice is. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can distribute red lines, or you can rely on the email of.
No, I could see it on the email. For some reason, it won't open here, but, Google, so I'll take a look at it. Yeah, no, I'll take a look at it after.
If I could, Madam Chair, I apologize. At the beginning, I forgot to introduce Attorney David Murphy is here. Also, our Treasurer, Stephen Bates, and our Clerk, Bob Mullen, is also here. And
Thank you
just
very much for that introduction.
Yeah, and just one thing. So on the contract where we talk about other possible funding things or whatever, if you remember before, I think I might have mentioned there's some pending legislation possibly about streaming, and that might be another source of revenue for the for the corporation. So that's what we're trying to capture inside the agreement as well, just for clarification, if anybody wanted to know.
I'm going to take a minute just to go to another topic, because there seems to be some confusion regarding our consent agenda.
Okay.
If you are still in the audience, under the consent agenda, what was approved in totality was A through I, and that did include the one-day beer and wine permit for Immaculate Conception Church. I wanted to say that for those that have an interest. So you can go home and have a good night. So thank you very much. Now back to the issue at hand, the contract. To my fellow board members, did you have any questions regards to this contract? I see Mr. McCrisky has raised his hand.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd just like to get a lay of the land of what we're going to be doing here, because I have a ton of questions. SMAC is represented by 2 attorneys. It's a game changer for me. So I think we have to have some counsel here as well to go over, and they've made their proposal here, and I'll read that on the red line one, and we'll match it up against here. But I don't think it'd be appropriate to get into it all tonight, but I think a lot of it, I would say, and I've said this before to a few people, that we could actually try to solve it on our own, but now we have 2 attorneys here, so I'm not going to get into anything tonight without an attorney here on behalf of our board. This is a game changer. So I don't think this board should be negotiating a contract that's represented by 2 attorneys, and we're here without one. So, so just to get the conversation going, I don't know what the process was supposed to be, but this is something I've done a lot of work on, and I think now would be the time to bring some of these things up in this process. And who knows? We might, iron something out in a couple days. Who knows? There's a lot of good information here. I want to see SMAC succeed, but just want to know what we're doing here, because we get.
Mr. McCrisky, to answer your question, the agenda item is the first time we as a board have reviewed and discussed to hear from SMAC what they are proposing to us.
Right.
But then moving on to Mr. Carrera, you had a question?
I'd just like to get a copy of the one that's got the red, that shows, I mean, I got the clean copy like you do.
I'll print it out for you, because I'll be printing one off myself. I'll make one for you.
Thanks.
If there's any problem in doing that, we can send it again as well.
No, I see it here, but for some reason, it's not allowing me on the Surface Pro to open up the window. I see the attachment on September 19th. It just won't let me open it for some reason. So I'll go back to my office computer where it works the right way.
Download it first.
Exactly.
It might work better than double clicking on it.
And Madam Chair, I thought at the previous meeting when you were talking about the Comcast license, they also had Attorney Hewitt here, and you asked him about this agreement and if he had any issues, and my recollection was he didn't have any issues with this agreement.
Well, he doesn't speak for our board, though.
Okay, well, I'm just saying the board asked if he had any comment, if he had any.
But that wasn't what he was doing. He was representing us, as you know, on the agreement with Comcast. So he looked over it quickly, but.
Okay, like I said, that was my recollection.
I'll tell you, I'll say it right here in front of everybody. If you wanted to sit and talk, we might be able to iron some of this stuff out.
Joe, we've been trying to do it for a year, honestly.
Well, we'll stop there, because you haven't, so let's just stop right there.
Joe, it started when you were the chair over a year ago when we brought it forward. So
let's stop there. I think it's best. All right.
Mr. Gito, did you have any comments, or do my fellow board members have a response to Mr. McCrisky? Okay. I think do we have any questions? We have Mr. Stagnone and the attorneys here. Do you have any questions? I have one major question, and this would be to you and to the board, but we'll see what my fellow board members want to address first. Nothing? Okay. So
the only thing that I would say is that going back to what Mr. Stagnone said, I was of the opinion that this was pretty much ironed out. Not that it was the beginning of another lengthy process, which has been going on for a long, long time. So that's my only comment, and I presume it's going to go on for a while longer.
My question is regarding the Cable Advisory Committee. So it was mentioned on page 3, and then again on page 12. When this was written into the agreement, or what was your vision of that? So that's from your perspective, but I'm sure the Select Board has a different idea, and we want to talk
Madam
about this
Chair,
a little bit more.
If I can, for clarification, the Cable TV Advisory Committee was not an arm of SMAC. It was an arm of the town of Stoughton. It was basically, as Mr. Stagnoni's well aware, it was Cable TV Advisory served at the Board of Selectmen's wish, and it was for renewing contracts and just cable TV issues that it pertained to the town of Stoughton. And I think it was the right decision when we allowed SMAC to get involved with the negotiation. It made sense because they're running the cable TV access system. It made sense to have them involved with that. I don't know if it went as fast as even John would have liked it, but it didn't go as fast as it should have. So that really for SMAC to be dictating what the Cable TV Advisory Committee does, what I think, since we're here, and it's just an idea at this point, is that we should utilize the Cable TV Advisory Committee to work between the Board of Selectmen and SMAC to make sure that they're adhering to everything in their bylaws, in their personnel agreements, and their media access agreements, all that stuff, to make sure that everything in their bylaws is being, completed. And that might be something we want to, but again, right now, that's just an idea topping off my head, and maybe that's how we want to do something like that, to establish a better line of communication. So that's where it was. It's not an arm that SMAC would control that. And in the conversation, if anything, they should be just recognizing that the Select Board has the authority to implement a Cable TV Advisory Committee, which we still have. I don't think there's any active members right now, but we still have it on the books. So.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, and that's exactly what this agreement is recognizing that could be a Cable Advisory Committee. And as Mr. McCrisky had indicated, currently a previous board abolished the committee. Basically, there was no work assigned to them and or guidance given to them. So actually, when I was on it, we all resigned at the exact same time. The board just resigned, and then a few years later, it was abolished because there was really no members left.
In terms of the, if I may, in terms of the revisions to the agreement, the existing agreement said that there was one. Mm-hmm. So we just revised it to say that there isn't one, but there might be one in the future, and it could be SMAC, it could be anyone else you folks choose. Right. That's really the intent of the revisions, and happy as I was when I emailed it to go over it with whoever the town would like it gone over with or handled however else you'd like.
Okay. At this time, do the board members have any questions? Okay. So there will not be a motion to accept this agreement tonight. So.
Okay, and thank you very much for everybody. And again, if you have additional questions down the road, we're always here to answer them. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much.
Yes, thanks for your time. You have my contact information.
Do we have any sense of when we're going to meet on this again?
So I will arrange a meeting, probably our upcoming select board meeting, to have our attorney here so we can discuss the contract, and then with my fellow board members. So let's try to put that on the agenda for in the next 2 weeks. And then go from there. This might be a step-by-step. Okay. The next agenda item I will take out of order, and that is item number 13, discussion regarding town historian position. David Allen Lambert. Please step forward, state your name and and your address. Hi.
David, you got to put the button on so it's green. Okay. Sit down, David.
Thanks. David Allen Lambert, 1108 West Street in Stoughton, Mass.
It's nice seeing you again. Earlier this evening, you talked a lot about your background and you being unofficially a historian for the town of Stoughton, and now we're trying to formalize that. So I will defer to Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And unfortunately, and I would be remiss if I didn't say it's sad that we're here tonight to address this. As many folks know, that our former historian, Mr. Howard Hanson, has been, had a medical condition that doesn't allow him to serve in this role anymore. It's definitely a loss to our community, a significant loss with the history. David knows a lot, but I remember the days that David's gone to Howie, and take care of yourself, folks. Listen to your doctors, get checked, make sure, if there's any sign that you have ability for a stroke, to find out before it's too late. I was lucky enough that I did that when I found out I had both type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. And when I found out what could have happened, is enough to wake you up. I don't know what took place, but a stroke took Mr. Hanson away from us. And anyone knows Howie. He was the one that could talk. I guess he could talk more than me, and that's a lot. And but Howie had so much knowledge to this town that's gone now. And if we could have just sat down and put a microphone in front of his face. But I've known David a long time, through my activities at the Historical Society as well. And there is no person in this town, in my opinion, better suited for this position than David Allen Lambert. His genealogy experience, he said everything. And this guy, it was fun actually watching God bless you. It was fun watching he and Howie argue over a point once in a while. It was great. It was great. But I just couldn't endorse David any higher than I can here. That he is the guy for the job, and I hope that everybody would support me in that appointment. David, thank you for being here.
I'm honored for the appointment. Thank you.
Any questions? I'll make a motion. If somebody wants a motion, I'll make a motion that the Stoughton Select Board appoint David Allen Lambert, the historian for the town of Stoughton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Thank you very, very much. It really is humbling to have this, and I echo Joe's sentiment. If Howie was here, he would still wear that, and I had the honor to work with him since the time I was 12 years old. So maybe a fraction of his knowledge passed on to me. I'm benefited by it, and I hope that as we move forward for the 300th and the years forward beyond that, that I can mentor with someone as well, younger than myself, to pass that torch on to multiple people, students as well. Thank you so much.
I got to correct you, though. If Howie was here, he would have tripped you on the way up the stairs.
That's true. That's true.
He wouldn't want you taking this away. But I know you're going to honor him and all the work he did as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're back on item number 11, which is Stoughton Media Access Board openings. There are two-year openings. The applicants are Stephen Bates, Robert Mullen, Peter Brown, and Joe Soares. Does anyone want to take the lead on that? Those two applicants. Well, let's call them up one at a time and talk a little bit about your background. and develop a process. We could take the process of each board member recommending one applicant and go and approach it that way? Are you in agreement to that? Or what other way do you want to finalize the 2 open seats?
Why don't we,
All righty.
what's that, Lou?
I said, why don't we do it the same way we've done the others?
Yeah, just call them up in the order that they're listed on the sheet, let them speak, and then go from there,
Take
right?
nominations from there.
All righty. The first is Stephen Bates. Would you approach the table, state your name and address, please? Hello and welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
That's good. My name is Steve Bates. I've lived in Stoughton my whole life, 55 years. I own 2 successful companies. I've been self-employed for 32 years. I've been an original board member of SMAC for close to over 13 years now. We've successfully taken a company with no money to quite a bit of money. I'm not exactly sure what's going on right now. There seems to be a lot of animosity. I don't know why. I'm not sure. I came tonight actually to potentially withdraw my vote, but I think I'm going to stick in there. I'm not sure if we should even be talking about it right now. If we don't have a contract, should we even be picking a board member?
Well, from what I understand, I did talk with Town Council Brian Winter, and he indicated that the contract that is in existence is in effect until we accept a new agreement.
Okay.
So yes, I haven't heard otherwise, so I think we do have an agreement in effect. And I'm glad you're not withdrawing your name.
So we've been around for over 13 years now. We have a meeting every month. We have an annual meeting in front of you guys every year. So doing a little bit of quick math, we've had 150 plus or minus meetings. Not one selectman has ever come to a meeting. And tonight we're hearing if we could just sit down and talk. Why didn't anybody come? All of you guys have my cell phone number. Why didn't somebody call me and say, Batesy, can we meet at Dunkin' Donuts, or can we go have a coffee? Could we even talk? Not one person said it, but now it seems that there's a drive on this board to cause problems. I don't understand. You wonder why nobody wants to volunteer. I can see why. We built a successful cable studio. It's the best one in the area. We have a lot of volunteers. We managed a cable studio through COVID. Not one employee lost their job, but yet there's a problem. I don't know where the problem is. So I'm willing to stick around for 2 more years. If you want to keep me, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too. It's a non-paying job. I've done, you're going to need a new studio in probably 2 years. Our lease is going to expire. When we built the studio, we couldn't afford it. And I GC'd it for free and saved the town over $200,000. So somebody, either you got to save a lot more money or something has to happen. I don't know. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Any comment?
I have a question.
Question?
And I'll make this document available to the secretary to be reprinted, where I'm going to ask from this. A while back, this is dated July 14th, 2020, was a report written by Stoughton resident Mark Hausman that was paid for by SMAC. And on page 2, Article 4, it says, the duties and officers should be updated since the president has taken over the treasurer financial responsibility of the funding of the operating account. Are you the treasurer?
Yep.
Did you give up your responsibility to the president?
No.
You did not? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying no.
Okay, so why is it in the report that SMAC paid for from the consultant saying, and I'll repeat it,
The duties of officers should be updated since the president has taken over from the treasurer the financial responsibility of funding the operating account.
Funding the operating account just means transferring money around, okay? We have a policy in place that when anything gets paid from SMAC, it gets paid every month at the meeting. If there's money to get transferred one way or the other, or if, I could be working anywhere from the Cape to Gloucester. If John, the president, works in town. So if a check needs to be signed, we both have check writing privileges, okay? Nothing gets paid unless unless all 5 board members approve it. So there's way more than 2 safety steps in place. And I told you this before.
You didn't tell me that before.
We did. I
You
did
did
tell you
not.
this.
The only time we spoke about this when I talked with you in Bob's Food Mart parking lot,
And what about-
you didn't want to talk about it.
No, that's not true. And what about Bill's detailing? I told you the same thing then.
No, I don't recall you saying that to me.
Well,
And what you
and
gave
again-
that answer does not go with what this says.
That's right.
Okay, so
That's
why
right.
didn't, if that's not true, it sounds like you're saying it's not true.
It's not.
Okay, why didn't SMAC argue it and reply to it? To say that, he didn't know what he was talking about. Why was this report
There's
left?
a lot of things in that report that we didn't agree with, and we told them that. And when we had the meeting afterwards with the executive directors at the time, it was the same thing. We made a lot of changes from when that report came out, because I think you'll see that one of the things was that the executive director thought we were micromanaging them.
All right, well, I asked for any of those in an email to the president of SMAC of anything that was changed as a result of this. I didn't receive any. Okay, so any changes as a result of this report, any changes that were taken, any corrective action plan, I believe was my wording, and I got nothing to say that you folks have addressed this. You paid for it. There's nothing in your minutes that reflect any conversation in executive session. I have 5 years of your minutes that I went through, and I looked for those. The only thing I saw was basically the quickest hurry pay job, and somebody was sent with a message to Mr. Hausman to thank him for his service with a check.
We hurried him off, is that what you said?
I didn't say, I said it was the hurriest process I saw. The report was written, he got his check, and he was thanked by, I believe, the station manager. Okay, so there's nothing that refers. He wrote the report, and if you've got minutes that show, your executive session minutes, if you've got minutes that show you spoke about this and what you were going to do, they weren't in the minutes I was provided with, because I looked at 5 years of all your minutes. I've got them in a spreadsheet. I went through every one of them looking for items like this, just to be able to be fair. I can't find them, so that's why I'm asking the question. This states something different, that there's no evidence that anybody at SMAC has talked about.
Well, I mean, I think if we went through the selectmen's minutes, there's not there are a synopsis of what it was. I'm sure that there's something in the minutes that said we've received the report from Mr. Hausman, and we've reviewed it, and we'll go over, I don't know exactly what the wording was, but I can tell you personally that there were changes made.
Okay, I'd like to see those changes.
Well, the changes the changes were about management style. Is what it was about.
Well, again, and this is where I guess we're getting beyond, where we'll be. This will go and we'll address this between our lawyers. Is what we're going to have to do.
You can come to the next meeting.
Well, listen, I didn't know where the meetings were. They get posted in the lobby, and there's no agenda. There's nothing on SMAC to tell when there's a members meeting. You don't have membership. Okay, so you don't have membership. You don't have membership. You're now, thankfully, and I applaud you, that you're going after. It's not in your minutes.
We had membership. Okay? There was a thing called COVID for 2 years.
Yeah?
We didn't have membership for 2 years.
Okay, you didn't have it for 2 years, but where was 17, 18, and 19?
We've had membership all those times.
Well, I'll tell you, when we go over this, I'll make it, it'll be out there, because I've gone through it and I've got it. And when your meetings were there, it says no citizens' participation, no members. Nobody was there.
Nobody has shown up to a meeting except just recently when someone's making it political. That's it, Joe.
Okay, so where are the members? I asked for a membership list. I was told by the president, we don't have one.
Right now, there's no members because we've had COVID for 2 years. We keep putting everybody.
Tell me give me the membership list for 2020 back to 2017. Okay, because I have the answer from the president, so they don't have it. They were looking for it. and they're all documented. These answers are all documented. One, in my opinion. Well, I guess you don't think the ratepayers should have any representation on the board.
What's that?
If you laugh when I'm talking about membership, which in your operating procedures, it mentions members or membership over 90 times, but there's no membership list. In your bylaws, it mentions members or membership. In your program guide on the people that come in, it talks about boards of directors and membership. Not one membership list from 2017 to 2021 was provided, not one.
You know, we had 6 or 7 members since the inception, and we were always the board of directors, and 1 or 2 strikers. That's the list.
Well, you just told me you had members. That's your membership list?
Right now, we've got, I don't know what the latest was as of yesterday, we've got about 50 members. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, well, because people want to join, and they want to make sure something's going on. At least there's membership. And there's people from both sides of people that represent people. I joined for $25. You know, maybe I can see what's going on. You know, so it's good. It's people. It's a good thing. Membership, the ratepayers who are paying to fund SMAC, is a good thing for them to see what's going on.
It is a good thing, but what I'm trying to say is for 12 years, it's never a problem. And now all of a sudden it's a problem. For 12 years, we've got 5 or 6 members.
Yeah, well,
Now all of a sudden we have 50.
yeah, well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
That's a good thing. So I'm going to chalk this up. I guess, you know, it's a difference of opinion, so we'll handle it from there. There's a lot more in this report, and again, I asked for any corrective action. Got nothing. So, you know, I don't take this report knowing Mr. Hausman is a respected member of this community. You know, I mean, I'm going to take him at his word, and I have no document, nothing that's said to me from anybody at SMAC is that we didn't agree with that. We didn't even address it. You know, and there was nothing. So this was hung out just to sit there, and why would I not have questions?
I don't blame you for the question, but one of my points is that we've had a meeting for 12 years, and you should have.
It's not my job to show up.
Yeah, but
It's not my job to show up. You have a contract with the town. You meet the contract with the town. If you're not doing what your bylaws, your own bylaws say you'll do, then when it comes here, I'm going to have questions. You know, I mean, in 12 years, I'll tell you, you may not want to say that comment and have it, because I went through each and every set of meeting minutes that was sent to me by your president. And I think you had maybe in that time frame 35 people show up at meetings. It's all here. It's from 2017 to 2021. All right, so that's there, and their names are there. I took the names out, and I put it in the attendees list. You said some of them. Roy Cohen was there. Joe Soers was there. Some people. You know, there was I forget the minister's name that was there. People that do some shows. You know, they're there. They're in your minutes.
the time they show up is at the annual meeting, and go over finances, and that's it.
No, there were some meetings other there, and there were people there. You know, a couple. There were different issues. You know, there was a couple of people showed up when somebody was up for a raise, and they spoke on the person's behalf. You know, things like that. You know, but again, so.
Somebody would like you to check the mic and make sure that's working.
So, okay. That's my only question. I'm all set.
Okay, so, Mr. Bates, you are the current treasurer of SMAC, and so I'm all set, just to restate that. Thank you very much, and I'm glad you didn't remove your name from the list. The next is Bob Mullins on the list. Hello, Mr. Mullins. Please state your name and address, please.
Certainly. Good evening. My name is Bob Mullen, and I'm the current clerk of the Stoughton Media Access Corporation. I do ask to be, if you consider reappointing me, because I believe I can still make a difference. And plus, I've been doing a lot of listening. I've been listening to the board meetings. listened to a lot of the statements by the select board members, people that come to our meetings, and the residents of this town. And obviously, listening is very important, and communication from SMAC, obviously, you have to admit, we need to improve it because we're not getting the word out. We're doing a lot of things up there, we're just not getting the word out. Communication is very important. We have to improve upon that. We just recently got the agenda posted on the town website. The last couple of meetings are posted. We will make improvements as we keep moving forward in the future. Progress takes a little time, but we are making the progress. We just have to speed up the process to make that progress. I do pledge that we'll continue to make progress if you reappoint me. 1 of 5 people, obviously, like this Board of Selectmen, I'm 1 of 5. I'm not a dictator. Just because I have from time to time, things just change, it takes a little bit of time. So you have to be with us a little bit. I think SMAC, the location of it, the studio, there's none better in this area of the state, except probably Boston. We have a very good studio. I admit that. I'm happy with that. I think the town should be proud of that. I know when residents come up, they're amazed what goes on there. From a small group of people that work there, that we hire, professionals, we produce some good quality output. I know we had some problems in this great hall here from audio and visual technicalities. They've been resolved, I believe. We're always buying new equipment. It's like your home computer. Things do break down. Even cell phones get replaced every couple of years. When it goes, it's when you least expect it. And that's the same thing that happens with any piece of technology, whether it's a cell phone, your home TV, or the computers in the room over here, and that little studio over there. So, things do happen. It's not perfection, but it's pretty close to it. So I think, with communications, going back to communication, I think SMAC, we just have to improve our communications to the residents, to this select board, to the school committee. And we always want to hear, we probably should have regular meetings with this board, at least a few times a year. I think it's probably important to communicate. And also with the school committee. We do, obviously, there's a studio over at the schools, and we communicate with the people over there quite regularly. And we do provide some equipment updates over there, too. So there's a lot going on. We're just not communicating what's going on. So on behalf of the board, I do apologize for that because I'm one of the board members, but I'm looking to improve that communication. And obviously, the door's always open, 10 to 6 down there at the studio, 421 Page Street. So come on down and take a visit. We welcome everybody there. If I can answer any questions, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. Do you have any questions?
Just
McCrisky.
not a question, just a comment. Bob mentioned, and I think it's important to note, when he mentioned the communications in the building here, I don't know how many times, John, if I may, how many times do you think you've been called about the audio system in Town Hall?
Well, I don't get the calls, the station manager does.
Okay, well, roughly how many calls do you think you got? 2, 3 dozen? More?
I don't know if we got that many, but
Okay.
there was audio issues, it was mostly because of the virtual meetings.
Yeah.
That's, technology has changed. When we first got the price tag, it was $60,000 to do it, and we just recently got the technology increased, and as we're doing this, we actually were able to do it for $20,000 and hope we should have fixed it all. But
Yeah.
it's all just related to virtual meetings more than anything else.
Right, and I believe you spent $30,000 before that as well. It was in your minutes. That's why.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the audio, that just had to do with outdated equipment that
Right.
was no longer compatible, and the upgrades were way too, they weren't supporting the upgrades.
Okay. Yeah, no, all right, so it just, all the times it's been mentioned, I just think it should be noted that when I was going through the 5 years of minutes, there was a lot of talk about the audio system in this building. So that should be known, that sometimes we sit here and we listen to other people say that it's happening, and you don't know if it's happening, but, it was out there, and I got to say that I think it was probably 10 different times that in the minutes of the meetings, that was discussed. So I just wanted to, it's been something that, it's been here a lot, and, and SMAC did make a yeoman's effort to make an improvement in that area. So.
But I'd like just to add to that, if I may. We have the technicians, professionals come in and assess the situation. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Like any technology, it takes a little bit. It might have taken a little longer than we wanted, but we certainly put a great effort into it. And don't forget, Zoom was even a common household word before the pandemic. And now everybody's Zooming, everybody's Google Meets. I mean, the technology in the last 2 years has changed tremendously, in the last 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, I think tonight we're in a better place. We're moving forward. And the technology might change tomorrow. We don't know. I mean, it just happens overnight. And again, with Zoom and the pandemic, the world has changed with technology, and it will continue to change, but that's the way the technology is. So I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just saying technology, when a circuit board breaks or it doesn't work anymore, you don't know. There's nothing flashes until things break down. And it just shows you how important this process is to communicate back and forth, and also that we do make the changes. We spend the money where needed, and I think tonight it's working pretty well. Shh. I know, but no, we put some more money into the place, and we continue to put money into the building here in that room over there. So, I mean, sometimes your cell phone, you just bought it and there's problems with it. I mean, that's technology. Anyways, I'll stop right there. Any other questions? I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. I don't think we have any questions. Mr. Scardino, I think you have a comment?
I'm not commenting on Mr. Mullins, but I just had a member of the public text me and say that there were problems with the audio reception. Sorry.
So maybe you would like to check the hand raised, and he would like, he said he has a technical point to make.
A technical point he can't hear? Oh. Does it work? Thank you so much, Mr. Mullins. You've been very thorough, and you have an auditing background, right?
Yes, well, I'm a retired certified internal auditor, and I've been working for your friendly, well, I'm retired now from the state, but I worked for your friendly Department of Revenue for over 30 years. Doing some tax work and working on large computer tax databases.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just like to help everybody a little more tonight.
Thank you
for your service, Bob.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next on our list is Peter Brown. Would you step forward, Mr. Brown, and state your name and your address, please? And I didn't forget about Mr. Zemanian, but I'm trying to move quickly through this process.
Madam, I can understand that, but I'd like you to consider the fact that the public watching this cannot hear if somebody does not have a mic in their hand.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mr. Zemanian. So please...
We're only getting half of the conversation. It's very frustrating from us at home.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Can you please... Can you turn the mic on and then pull it close? Mr. Zemanian, can you hear me? So that's either yes or no.
Madam Chairman, he couldn't hear John Stagnone in the back of the room because John didn't have a microphone.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gito. That's my point. If somebody's going to go back and forth with one of the select board members, they need to have a microphone in their hands so the rest of us can hear what's being said.
Thank you so much. What we'll do, if someone from the audience has a comment, we'll just call them to the front so they can get a microphone. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mr. Zemanian. Take care. Yeah, this is supposed to be green, Mr. Brown. Please state your name and your address, and then hold that microphone pretty close. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, honorable members of the Select Board. Thank you for your time and this opportunity. My name is Peter Brown. I live on Chapman Road. I have been for about 29 years. I'm currently a town meeting member. I have been for at least 6 terms. I've spent 4 years on FinCom. The 5th year, I went on to the Select Board for a little bit, and that's why I left FinCom, but I still do have 5 active years left if I ever decide to move in that direction again. I'm presently on the Charter Review Commission as a moderator's appointment. I'm a dues-paying member of Stoughton Media Access. I have been since 2011. I participated in their training. I went through their training 6-week program every Tuesday for 6 weeks in a row, and the training's rigorous and it's difficult to catch on to immediately, but you work at it, you can get some skills. I am currently a producer at Stoughton Media Access. I do a local show called Left, Right, Center. Its purpose is purely entertainment. Opinions vary from one person to another, the 3 members of us. But I'm interested in becoming a SMAC for a number of reasons, but in my full-time, my profession, I was a lieutenant with the Massachusetts Department of Correction. I was an operations lieutenant. I ended my career at MCI Norfolk, and I spent a number of years as an administrative lieutenant working on policies, procedures, post orders, emergency files, and any type of administrative duty you can think of, in addition to running shifts with a staff of 100 and a number of inmates. 1,200 inmates, I think was my last count when I left. I'm looking to join SMAC because I believe I got some fresh ideas. I've been in and around there. It's a tremendous place, great resource. The studio is second to none. I go in there as much as I can when I can. I also do some other stuff on the side, but I'm looking to join the board. I have been for a little while now, and this is an opportunity, so I come before you tonight to kind of pitch where I stand. I have some ideas. I don't know if you want me to share with you at this point or not. Maybe it's not a great idea to do that, but I have some connections at Northeastern University where I graduated, got my BS in criminal justice. Nobody knows the year, and I don't think I'm going to share that anyways, but my intention is to try to reach out, grow the membership. There's a push now. I think there's 40-something people have joined. People are interested. I don't know why you'd say they're interested. I can imagine something to do with an upcoming election. I do have a lot of ideas in terms of like innovation and programs. I don't think we're not getting enough out of SMAC right now. We got to get more people in there to do shows, and whether that's through recruitment process or reaching out to stakeholders or whoever that may be, schools. My connection at NU is with some music people. I'd like to see if we can get them to get involved and maybe partnership with some colleges, and who knows what kind of opportunity that can be. It could be anywhere from just having a regular NU students or even the high school students come in to, growing it to who knows where. I do want to thank you for your time. I look forward to this opportunity. Again, I know there's only 2 appointments, and it's a difficult decision for you. You'll have to make that. I don't wish that upon you, I guess, but I'll open it to questions if anyone has anything they want to ask me. Because I don't want to. If you want to hit the buzzer to stop me from talking, that might be a good idea.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I'm asking my fellow board members.
Yeah, sure.
Vice Chair Cavey.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, it's always a pleasure to see you, and I hope you're doing well. Sorry, let me get this a little closer. I was just saying it's always a pleasure to see you, and I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to know, you're interested in a position. We have 2 incumbents here who are interested in positions as well. I'd just like to hear about maybe some specifics about things you'd like to do differently. I know you've just went over a couple.
Yes.
But I was wondering, organizationally, are there things that you would want to do differently?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. First off, I believe is you got to get the membership involved. And one of the things that SMAC hasn't done well, and I'm not picking on any individuals, they don't get people into the meetings. And part of that reason is they don't do a good job at promoting smack in terms of on web pages and things. I know they just got one up and running. The agenda usually only appears up at the town hall. Quite frank, I don't have time to come to the town hall to look at agenda. So I think the first idea would be to build a web page, or to build upon, expand upon the web page that's currently in place, and to have somebody work on that regularly, to bring up to speed what's going on. Post the agendas, post the minutes. I like to know what's going on with my local government. I'm just interested in that. I'd like to start a campaign to bring in new people to do shows, and unfortunately, I can only name 3 or 4 shows, and I'm one of them that are regularly doing shows. The staff, they have, I would say, somewhat adequate staff. I'd like to see more people get in there, whether it be through volunteers or even paid. I don't know any of their finances. I don't pretend to know that. I think we could advertise a little better, even along the bottom of the cable television. We can stroll it around there. I go into different facilities and, restaurants and things, and I have on the part of our show, I begin and we call it Pete's Pantry, and we'll try a different slice of pizza or a sandwich or something like that. And not that we endorse the restaurant or not. We don't get any for it. We're not taking any money changing or getting free food or anything like that. That's one way we get the word out. I know we just did runners, and they were very happy, and they said their business has been doing great. So hopefully we had something to do with that. Seminars, I think getting out there and maybe holding some seminars at schools, colleges I'm talking about, just a million of opportunities in that way. But I think the biggest way to do that is by communicating it. And the only way you can do that, there's a million social media accounts, TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. I'm not a member of any. I think I've been banned on all of them anyway, so no, it's just a joke. It's a joke.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay,
no
thank
questions
you.
from me.
I just want to end with, though, if you do elect to confirm me, I promise I will do the best I can to give the ratepayers the best in quality service they deserve. We all do. And then that's just from my perspective. It's no knock on any other board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Mr. Soares in the room or online? Joe Soares. Ms. LeBlanc, do you know if he's still interested, or did he? We didn't hear back. Okay. So he applied, so whether he's here or not, let's consider him. So are you recommending a process that each board member makes a recommendation? We have 2 open seats, 2 open positions for 2 years. So we can do a round robin, and each board member make one recommendation, and then we continue that process until we fill that one position, and then we'll do the next one. Does that approach work for everyone? Okay, thank you. So I'll just...
We have 3 people applying for 2 positions, or 4 people, one who's not here.
We have 4 people applying, just one
Right,
is not here.
Okay.
2 positions. You have a recommendation?
Well, we...
For the first position,
Yeah, I would nominate Steve Bates.
Mr. McCrisky.
Nominate Bob Mullen.
Vice Chair Cavey.
I would also nominate Bob Mullen. We're out of people.
Mr. Carrera.
Peter Brown.
This was a very tough decision because we have 2 incumbents, both have finance backgrounds. We have Mr. Bates with the treasurer position, and then we have Mr. Mullins, that's the clerk. So it was a tough choice, but I think that SMAC really needs that treasurer in the position, so I will nominate Stephen Bates.
Okay, so we call for a motion. There's
Yes.
two people,
Did someone,
there's been two people with 2 votes each.
okay, and that is Mr. Bates and Mr. Mullins.
Right.
Okay, so then let's do a round robin again, so we can get it to one person to fill one seat. I'll start, were you going to say something, Mr. McCrisky?
No, this is,
Go ahead.
I don't know why we just don't take the nominations of everybody and then take a final vote.
Okay, we can do that too.
Everybody votes. And
Okay,
The names are all out there. There they are. Just
So we have three
you start with
three nominations, and we should vote on one of those 3 people.
right.
okay. Okay, who wants to start? Vice Chair Cavey.
So, yeah, my vote will be for Mr. Mullen.
Mr. Carrara?
This is for one seat, right?
This is for one seat.
I cast for Mr. Mullen, too.
Mr. McCrisky?
Mr. Mullen?
Mr. Gito?
Mr. Bates.
And I vote for Mr. Mullen. And for the second seat,
Mr. Bates.
Mr. Brown?
Vice Chair Cavey?
Yeah, either. It would be fine at this point. So I'm happy with those 2 people being nominated.
What's the second?
We still have to vote, and so I go with those 2.
I'm confused now.
We're just nominating right now. Is there any?
We're just
is there anybody
nominating.
Who would you nominate?
Mr. Carrara said he nominated Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
And you nominated, so we went through our nominating process.
Correct. Yeah.
And then we narrowed it
I'll
down.
nominate Mr. Bates, but he'd already been nominated, so there's really no purpose for.
Right, so
So
2
we might
people
as well
now.
just call the next vote.
This is for the vote between Mr. Bates and Mr. Brown.
Right.
May I say why I would vote for Mr. Bates?
Yes.
Mr. Bates indicated the last time when the wonderful studio was constructed, he was the general contractor or overseer of the work for nothing on that project. And SMAC is going to have to go through another process, probably within a couple of years at the very latest, because another company has bought that building and is likely to expand. My sense is that that organization could very strongly use somebody with his skills. And I think it would be wise for the town to recognize that.
Thank you, Mr. Gito. So let's make a motion and finalize.
The motions have been made.
And was it second?
Yeah. So it's just calling the votes on the two candidates.
Yep. Just go around and name our candidate. I'll start with Mr. Bates.
Mr. Carrara?
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Gito?
Mr. Bates.
And Mr. McCrisky?
Mr. Brown?
And I vote for Mr. Bates.
Okay.
So
We have 2 people?
2 people.
So nothing changes.
Let's move right along to item number 12, please, and that is discuss request to Mass Highway Department of Trucks exclusion on Walnut Street. So, Mr. McCrisky, did you have a comment? And I do want to defer to Mr. Tisdale on that.
No, I don't think this is a very simple thing. I think from our board, I don't believe that any comments are needed, just that we voted formally, that I've received calls from the residents of Walnut Street regarding the truck traffic and the speed of traffic down there, and I think it's worthy that we reach out to Mass Highway and look at a truck exclusion on the road. And see where we go from there. So that's my motion.
I'll second that for discussion, if you don't mind. But I would like to ask questions after other people do. I mean, I don't want to just jump in.
Okay.
Well, Madam Chair, if I may, we have a resident that is here raising her hand. Maybe it will just give you an idea of the calls that I've been getting, and if you want to come forward.
Please step forward, state your name and address, please.
Just make sure that little light's on green so everybody at home can hear you.
Hello.
Hello there.
My name is Nancy Sullivan, and
Nancy, could you pull that a little closer to you?
sorry.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy Sullivan. I'm a resident of Walnut Street. I live at 179 Walnut Street. I've been living there for almost, probably over 30 years. I grew up in Stoughton as well, so I have a long history in Stoughton. But
Tell them who your dad was.
My father was the principal of Stoughton High School in the 60s and 70s. I'm a Sporandio.
To say, when he said that, I was like, oh, I know. You look like your dad.
So we were neighbors, yes.
What was your maiden name?
Sporandio.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes.
So I had written you a letter back in August expressing my concerns about the traffic on Walnut Street. I have reviewed the studies, and I was disappointed that that group, the GPI, Greenman, Pedersen, did not recommend at that time that there was a truck exclusion, because we have the Mass DOT did find that we have a 13.6% average of construction vehicles and commercial vehicles traveling that street. And the range for a commercial exclusion is between 5 and 8. So we're well above that. And also, the study that was presented, they had done that in the summertime, and that was July of 2021. And at that time, they found that there was 3,845 vehicles traveling that street in a 24-hour period. Well, that was the summertime, that was during COVID, and I'm sure if you did another study, you would find that the traffic is exponentially more than it was even back then. And the concern is that the cars race down that street like there's no tomorrow. It's very dangerous to pull in and out of your driveway. I have had people, if I'm pulling in, I live on the right side coming up from the library. If I'm pulling in, I have my blinker on, someone will pass me on the right or the left. It's happened both ways to just get around me. And I try to enforce the speed limit there by going very slow, and people crawling right up my back, and it's very disconcerting. The best time that we've seen in the recent past is they had a Stoughton Day, and there were cars parked on either side of the street, and the traffic had never been better because it was slow. I don't mind the traffic, but if it's slow, and everybody was going slow because it was, they were squeezed in. And I was concerned when I read the proposal in that they were going to put in some bike lanes to narrow the street, and that would reduce the parking on the street. I don't park on the street, but it's not a problem to me, but I find that the traffic slows where the cars are parked down by the library. In that area, they slow down. Well, they also slow down now because of the light, but they also slow because there's cars parked, and the cars were very slow during when both sides of the street had parking. And if this bike lane is going to reduce that parking, then I don't think it's going to be effective. I don't see as many bikes as I see pedestrians. Now, there's a number of pedestrians walking down that street to go to the park, to go to the commuter rail, to go to the library, to go to the town, and to go to the school. And that was another thing that I was concerned about, is there used to be a flashing light there right on the corner of Pierce Street to slow the traffic because of the school, but that was removed for whatever reason, I don't know, and it wasn't replaced. And there is a preschool still there, and people do walk to that preschool. The other thing I wanted to question, and I do appreciate you looking into these studies, is I just had a misunderstanding as to those speed bump outs that you were proposing. Now, I'm under the impression, but I wasn't sure by looking at that, and I had reviewed your meeting, where that speed bump would be. Would it be at the corner of Pierce, where the crosswalk is currently, Pierce and Walnut? Or would it be down by the school? Because I know that in your meeting you were referring to it down by the school, but I didn't know if it was going to be at that crosswalk. Does anybody know?
I think it was that, oh, go ahead, Mark.
Mr. Tisdale.
Yeah, I think first of all, I appreciate your concerns, and we spent a lot of time and effort looking into this. But to speak to your specific question, the bump outs, I believe, are at that crosswalk.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where the bump outs
are. I would prefer it to be at that crosswalk, yeah.
The speed hump, I don't know exactly where, but it was further down the street a little more.
Okay, so, well, now you're saying the bump out would be there, but you're saying the speed bump would not be there?
The speed bump was decided to be closer down near the school.
Okay, because people, well, in my experience living on the street, people come, they start at the top of Walnut to Prospect, and they just floor it down until they get to where the cars are parked down at, in front of the condominiums and near the library. And the reason why they slow down, one, because of the light, two, because the traffic is narrowing. And I think that if you don't have any cars parked on that street, then it's not going to reduce that, that funneling. But also, I think that the speedway is between Prospect Street and Pierce Street. It's not in front of the school because people are already slowing down. So I would recommend that the speed bump be further up the street. Between Prospect and Pierce, or at the very least at the Pierce Street crossing.
Right, so a good spot to put a speed bump would be at a crosswalk.
Right, and
Yeah,
that would
I mean,
be...
you could put it at that spot.
And actually, what I would propose is that you had two speed bumps, one at the intersection of Chestnut Street and Walnut Street, and then another one at the intersection of Pierce and Walnut, because that is the place where people speed the most.
So I think, just to recap, I think Nancy makes some great points, and the first speed hump I think we're implementing in Stoughton was on this street. We're going to use it as a prototype to kind of see how it works, at least on a major street in Stoughton. I don't have a problem trying out 2 speed humps. If a speed hump isn't working out, it's not too hard to get rid of a speed hump. It's not a problem with me spacing out at those 2 spots that you had. The speed hump actually was not proposed in the study you saw. That was something that was discussed at the board meeting. We decided we would go along and try a speed hump, because there are other areas in town that we thought might benefit from a speed hump, but we wanted a trial spot, which on the street would be that trial area.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was, I mean, you were going to, and I appreciate you addressing the truck exclusion or the commercial vehicle exclusion, and I think that would be fundamental in reducing the traffic on that street.
So talk about the truck exclusion, if I may. You're right. It meets the number of vehicles required, number of trucks, the truck volume. It's between 5 and 8%. We're at 13 or something like that. When we submit the application to Mass DOT, they look at a lot of other things. They look at the proximity to the other streets. Are there going to be other residential neighborhoods impacted? For example, say Seaver Street. So the truck exclusion is probably not just going to be Walnut Street. It's probably going to be Seaver Street, Walnut Street, and all the small streets in between. So truck can't cut through that area. So what they'll do is that now they'll look at the defined route where trucks will go. One will be probably Lincoln Street. He's at the end of Lincoln Street. You can take a right and left. A lot of times they don't allow you to go down numbered routes for truck exclusions, which would be 139 coming into the square here. So that we'd have to discuss that with them. Either way, a truck coming down 139 Pleasant Street would only be able to take a right at the square. So we'd have to think about the other direction, which would be Prospect Street coming down the Park Street. So what I'm trying to explain is that we can submit an application to DOT, but it won't be as simple as just restricting Walnut Street. They'll look at the overall travel distance to get to the same point that these trucks are getting to, and if it's a much longer distance, most likely they won't approve the truck.
Even though that they have the now what we're addressing right now, though, is in what Mass DOT found is the 13.6% was on Walnut Street itself, not necessarily on those other streets.
But they'll take into consideration, if you put a truck exclusion on Walnut Street, where are the other options trucks can go to get to the same point? Trucks want to get from point A to B as quick as possible. So if you're a truck, I mean, obviously Joe's a truck guy. He knows the operations better than probably I do. But they may try to go down Seaver Street sometimes.
Yeah,
It's not the right street for trucks to go down. It's narrow. I mean, Walnut Street is obviously not what you want to hear. It is a wide street. It's the right street for trucks to go down. It's signalized at the end. And this is how DOT is going to look at it. They're going to say, well, it's signalized.
But I don't think those trucks had gone down.
Excuse me for a minute. This is a really meaty conversation and a much needed conversation, but the agenda is to discuss a truck exclusion.
Yeah.
So I just want
Okay, that's fine. That's what
for
I
open
wanted
meeting law, we have to
Yeah, so
limit our
so are
discussion.
you going to propose the truck exclusion? I guess that's...
That's why we're here. I asked last week that it be on the agenda. That's why we're here now, and all we're doing is voting it. And
okay.
I don't think it's
Okay, fine. I wanted to be here for that because I felt it was important.
I did say to a couple residents that I spoke with as well, is that, backing up what the town manager was mentioning, is that it's a tough sell. because they're going to say, where's it going? If we get it off that road, it's going to go to a smaller road. And, rightfully so. I mean, I live on Winter Street, as you know. It's very small. And, the people who live on the smaller streets will say, well, wait a minute. So it's Mass Highway, as I did say, I think it's a fight. At best, I think it'll be a fight. But there's other things we can do, and if we have to, we look at the speed bumps on that. And, that'll slow a truck down, trust me.
Yep.
That'll slow a truck down, and maybe that's...
Either that or the land in our yards.
What you do is you fix one problem, you create another.
Yeah.
But we're going to ask them and see what they say. And going by the numbers, if it fits in,
And it has, the traffic has increased significantly.
Oh, all over the town.
Yeah, all over the town,
it's
but
not our town
especially,
anymore when it comes to traffic.
especially since there's no left turn in the center, and then the traffic light has also increased. Not that I mind the traffic light, I like the traffic light, but...
So do trucks, because it gets them across the street.
Yeah, but...
Okay, so...
Yeah.
So we do have, so the issue is, if we do make a motion to approve a truck exclusion, then we're also at risk of pushing traffic out to some smaller streets. So I'm asking the board, is there a motion to...
We've already made a motion in a second.
Okay, let's take...
I had seconded the motion with the thought that I might ask a question. Many of the parts of the question have been answered. The piece that I think that we are not missing, but we are complicit in the problem because, in fact, we have a streetlight right at the corner of Walnut and Park Street. And that's the way that people are going to go unless they end up going down some of these other side streets. And Joe, I think, hit it on the head. Everybody else has said the same thing. Those trucks are going to want to turn left rather than right, a number of them, and can't do it at the corner of Pleasant and the square. So they're looking for another place to go, and they're going to do it because they're going to deliver what they're going to deliver. So maybe we need to, while we're sending our note in, maybe we need to think about next steps on what we need to do, which I think is what the acting town manager was saying.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gito. And I'll come back, Mr. Tisdale, but Mr. Carrara, did you have a comment or suggestion? Because we're kind of at an impasse right now.
When we met, Steve and I, with the SRA on the, I can't even think of what it's called, Stevie. What's the name of that? Revitalization. What's that group run? I can't remember.
We all have memory issues.
Oh, speak up so we can all hear.
I'm trying to
remember
the housing.
It's the redevelopments, urban renewal.
Urban renewal. We met on the urban renewal.
Getting late, sorry.
And when they first did the revitalization of the downtown, Gene Fleming was the town manager at the time. And I says, Jeannie, I says, the only way to fix Stoughton, because you get 3 major routes dumping into the center.
Give us 10 more minutes.
The way I asked her, could we get Mass Highway to take 139 out of the center and just slide it up to Central Street where the biggest intersection in town exists. Rights, lefts, it's all controlled by arrows. Those trucks coming off of 24, either coming down Central Street or coming down 139, you can make one a truck route or whatever, but you could keep them from going into the square. And if they go to the big intersection, they can make the left, head through the square, or go, geez, you know, look where I am now. I didn't have to go into the square and then pick up 138. I could have just gone right up to this decent intersection and headed towards Canton or whatever. Or go straight through to Cobb's Corner all the way on Central Street. So this is something we talked about that would straighten out some of the problems in the square. Because I'll tell you right now, these trailers that are going down her street aren't making lefts and rights. They're going straight over to 138 because the last guy I saw trying to make the left and right knocked over the flasher for the crosswalk. There's no way with a 53 you can make that turn without trying to back up into traffic and turn, no matter how cinched up the wheels are. It's ridiculous to have truck traffic going down there, and they caused it all because they didn't want the left going across in the center. And we still have the problem today of people making lefts in the center, and that's another thing we're going to address. Right in and right outs, so you don't have that problem. But that's the big change that's got to happen. It might take a little time, but you got to get that 139 sent over so that the trucks can know they can go down a street that's wide and get to signalization that can make them turn. Because the last time in the winter, last winter, when we had a little bit of an ice storm, I watched a fuel oil tanker slide through that intersection. I was glad that I was 3 seconds later than 3 seconds earlier. And his face was pretty white because he was sliding through. It's the wrong place for trucks, whether they're going to go on other streets or not. Let them go all the way down Prospect Street and take a right where the fire station's going to have a party making rights.
That's where I would suggest, or the Central Street, as you had mentioned, is a truck route.
Yeah, it's a simple, it's an easier fix than just saying, let's do this, but this is the start of it. And then if they say something, then maybe we can lead into the other thing, because it's ridiculous, 139, starting in that square, knowing the trucking industry. Those guys, they look at it and they think we can get there. It doesn't say they can't make a left. All they see is the way the road's laid out.
Yes, Mr. Tisdale.
So I would just suggest I have some initial conversations with DOT. I got good contacts over there, and kind of just throw this by them initially before we spend a lot. Like it's going to be a few bucks to do a traffic study on this, and just kind of see if it passes the sniff test. You know what I mean?
Okay. And one more thing I did want to mention is on most truck routes you don't have a lot of foot traffic. On Walnut Street you have a lot of foot traffic. A lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So what I'm... Yeah. Motion on the table has been seconded on the vote. On the motion, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for doing the study and looking into it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Madam Chair, we are past our 10 o'clock deadline. We do have a couple of items that I think we can move quickly through.
Oh, I think so too.
I'll make a motion to extend till 10:30.
Can I get a second to 10:30?
10:45.
No, 10:30 is nice.
No, it is, but we have to talk about how we're going to deal with the interviews.
Yes, and I was hoping to run through that quickly.
Right.
Do you honestly think you're going to get that done in 9 minutes, everything here?
I mean, I had written up something which I didn't pass out, but I was going to when we got in.
Well, I wouldn't be prepared to talk on something that we just got handed at 10:30 at night. You know,
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm not asking you to agree with.
Well, I'm just trying to get out of here, folks, at a reasonable time, because I got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that comes real fast. So I'll stay here. If it means we can get it done, I'll stay here until it takes to get it done. But I would just ask that we don't talk for 100 miles, please.
Okay.
If not, if we can't do that, let's just table it and come back.
Motion to,
I'll vote in favor.
well, motion to go until 10:45 at the latest, so that'll be a cutoff. All
right,
I'll work as hard as I can to get it done
all right.
faster.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Aye.
Mr. Carl, did you have anything to say?
Nothing,
Okay.
I was going to slim the docket down. There was only really one thing that's kind of got a time limit on it, and we're already 2 weeks behind in the time limit.
Well, let's see how, so if we take item number 15 out of order. So I said early on that it was a typo. The $2.5 million offer for 8 Park Street was a typo. It's actually $2 million.
I'm passing this out, not, you have to.
So
It's just.
does anyone want to take the lead on that?
what is your-
It was a letter from an attorney, and so that was item
Oh,
number
okay.
15.
Confused? Okay.
Well, I'll just begin by saying that this is really just as a matter of like
Good, thank you.
my prior experience with offers for land. The only other time that I've seen it, which was only a couple of years ago, the board asked ourselves, are we aware of any particular purpose for this land? And, are we interested in it? Is there something we're going to plan to do with it? And I'm not currently aware of like any plan to use that land, right? By the town. And so going to town meeting and asking for $2 million to buy land that we have no plans for sounds like only, it's not going to go well. I don't think it's appropriate for that venue. So unless somebody has a plan for that land, I'm going to have to just say no to this.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair KV. Mr. Carrara.
I was actually, I thought this was a good thing when we got the letter. And I don't think it would take a long time. We have funding right now for another piece of property that everybody knows there's issues with it. Everybody keeps closing their eyes and praying to God that we're not going to run into the issues that are in that place. There was a document put out that it was 400 Prospect Street was the worst one for the municipal area. It saddens me that when I spoke to a former person about why didn't we look into this piece by taking it by eminent domain when it wasn't being offered at its full 5.5 acre value, that if we had moved on doing that, the fire station would be on a street that's maintained by the state, and Park Street is black every snowstorm. The building would be seen from the street, more visible. There'd be less money in utilities. There's more room for expansion. There's no wetland issues on the property whatsoever. There's access and there's no response time problems with it. I'm just looking at the amount of benefits. It doesn't sound like it's going to go very far, but the amount of benefits I just gave out outweigh what we're doing. I'm not against the fire station. I'm against not giving the firefighters and the town residents the best bang for their buck. We should have never have taken it by eminent domain. We should have, if we were going to do it, we should have did the proper eminent domain procedure and not listen to somebody throw a hissy fit and tell me the guy's entitled to $1.4 million. Our own town council said we had to follow the eminent domain procedure. And that started at $528,000, not $1.4 million with somebody slamming their hand on the table and demanding it for a person that didn't have an RFP anymore, because you guys voted it off the table. So that's why I asked the question. I'm just going to tell you now, use your intelligence and look at this and what it has to offer. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when the fire station goes in there and they're screaming for something else, or they need this room and that room, it's not going to be there. There'll be no room for training, no room for them to do anything. 850 Park Street's the highest place. And the town manager will tell you that. That's the highest place in South Stoughton. Perfect place for a cell tower so they can put all their communications on it. They don't have to be on the water towers. They can be right there. They can share it with the police. And if anybody else wanted to go on it, we could charge them to be on that tower. The land work will not be the land work that's going to go on the other place. Plus, I wouldn't want to be the guy trying to come out of 440 feet during a 12 to 32-inch snowstorm that we've had 2 32s back-to-back in the last few years. Back-to-back. You're going to have Public Works station a machine with a plow on it to keep that open for them. When you got the state plowing Route 27, scraping it, 6, 7 trucks at a whack, and pounding all the salt on it. All I ask you is just to look at it. All it takes, you move the funding from one address to the other, and then you explain why we have to pay the money for it, for a proper piece of property that we should have probably have looked into instead of buying a swamp. That's all I got to say, is I'm thinking of the residents in the longevity. I don't want to build a fire station that's going to be a problem to these gentlemen, and you will see it come to fruition. The small one on Central Street became a problem. This is going to be a little bit bigger.
Thank you, Mr. Carrara. We'll come back if you have further conversation. Do any of my fellow board members have any additional conversation about this? So far to date, I believe the number is we've invested $1.4 million into our current property, our Prospect Street. And since it did not, this new property, the 850 Park Street, didn't go through the procurement, it's nothing we can legally do unless I have board members to vote to say, to entertain a motion that this new property go through a procurement process. So, any other comments?
I want to get this done fast and, get out of here, but I'm not in favor of any changes. That's all. I understand what Scott's saying, and I disagree with him. We've just got a difference of opinion on it. And, I don't see any reason to stop. And again, we didn't put out an RFP. This is a letter that was sent that just doesn't fit into the process right now. And when it came to us before, it was a higher amount of money, so whatever. I just want to get this issue done. I don't want to move back off anywhere that slows the fire station down from being built, so I'm not in favor of moving forward on the letter.
Mr. Gito, I see you moving.
I agree with a lot of the things that Mr. Carrara is saying. I don't see a path to getting that property and not having to go back out with another vote of the community. and I don't know where we stand on having agreed to pay $1.4 million. I mean, if at the end of the day, we are spending 3.4 for the property, and if Mr. Carrara is right, that the property that we have bought for $1.4 million may be able to be sold for $500,000. I mean, my math would say that we're spending $2.9 million at the end of the day for something, and we're going out to ask people to do that, to move it. Quite frankly, I was shocked that we were buying a swamp. But, you know, I was kind of new on the board, and I was hearing, oh, you know, we went through all of this process. I don't see a path. If there's a path, what is it? I would ask if you would be kind enough, Mr. Tisdale, to go through the negative part of the 400 Prospect Street piece. If there was a negative part on 850 Park, there had to be some sort of a negative part, it would seem to me, on the other piece of property, and I haven't seen that.
Madam Chair, if I can.
Yes, Mr. McCrisky.
If we're going to get into this,
No.
and it's going to go on and on and on, because there's going to be another question to this, another question to that. If it's that important, if we put it on another agenda. No, I mean...
I wouldn't mind that.
Well, I'm not in favor at all of doing it at all. I'm not
Yeah.
in favor of backing up this process again, you know, when we're finally on, where it's going out to bid. I don't have a document that I've ever seen that says we bought a swamp. I know that it's a challenge site. I'm not talking anymore.
Okay.
We went to go to 10:45. It's now 10:35, and we haven't moved yet. You know, so let's put it on another agenda if we want to do this. You know, and we just keep going. This is ridiculous.
Vice Chair Cavey.
If
we call for a vote, right now we have some settlement deadlines. So it's time constraints. Vice Chair Cavey, do we have a motion?
I'm not making a motion. I'll be voting against this. If we talk about it tonight, we can talk about it later. But, you know, I know we have this time constraint. It's artificial. If we decide to move forward, as I actually already want to do, then it will cost us the same amount as if we wait 10 years. So I honestly don't care. But if we want to vote tonight, that's fine. If we want to wait, that's fine.
I make a motion that we take no action on the item.
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion before I say all in favor?
All I want to say is, I don't know why everybody's getting upset. The person sent in a letter. We all received it. I'm sorry that I thought it was a good idea and an idea that made sense. Other people, I guess, have a different way of looking at it. I don't penalize the guy for wanting to do what he did the first time. He should have probably offered the whole piece, and we wouldn't be in this. But the people that drew the plans up for the new fire station, what did they do prior that we had to pay them again? They should have been able to pick the plans up from one spot and move them to another. If the building fits, it fits. You can take plans for schools from one town to the other. If it fits, it fits. What I'm trying to tell you is this fits anywhere. The plans that are being drawn up fit anywhere on any piece of property. and especially something that's 5.5 acres. So if you don't want to vote for it, I'll understand it. But just remember, you didn't even want to entertain or talk to the person or even think about maybe taking 10 minutes to see what's best for the firefighters and the residents of this town, because they will not see the money that they're paying for the new one because it's on the wrong piece of property. And I'm sorry to say, they deserve a new station. I've been a proponent on it for a long time. I worked hard to give them something else. People turn their nose up at it. And that's the next issue that's coming up, because we got to do something with that. But I just don't understand 66 feet off the edge of the pavement as opposed to 460 feet.
Thank you, Mr. Carrera. Vice Chair Cavey?
Yeah, I'll just make this comment very succinct. With everything related to the fire station project, from almost from the beginning, but it continues to happen. I feel like I'm playing Candyland. Like every time you get to so far, you hit the ladder and you're the slide and you end up back at the beginning. And we've been doing this for a really long time. And one of the things that's gotten us as far as we are, has gotten as far as we've gotten, is that we've refused to do that. We've refused to ride the slide back, and we've just said we went out to bid, we follow all of our procurement laws. We got 2 bids. We picked the one that that served our needs, that was recommended by our fire department, that would cost the town less. Did everything by the book, and it wasn't until after it was 10 minutes after midnight, right? We've already taken the land by eminent domain, then we're offered an alternative bid and it has this constraint where if we, every week that we wait, it's going to increase. I mean, the whole thing is just to me is very screwy. I appreciate that it's, that there is an element of somebody who's trying to help us, but then why add this component where now there's a ticking clock, and if we don't act fast enough, then we're gonna keep on costing the town more and more money for something we don't even need because we already have what we need. The whole thing is just it's artificial, and I'm not sure why we would ride the slide back to the very beginning, or at least earlier in the game, where we'd have to go back to our architects. We'd have to re-examine all of our designs. I'm not an engineer, so tell me if I'm saying anything wrong, but this is going to cost us a lot of money. It sets us back a lot of time, and there's no benefit that anybody's really been able to articulate to me, other than anecdotal stuff about swamps, which I've never heard this. I mean, have I not received the same reports as everyone else? I'm not aware of any of this. So the whole thing just sounds. I'm maybe getting punchy now because it's late. I apologize, and maybe I gotta tone it down a notch. I apologize for that. But I think it's time to. We've gone as far as we have. This project's moving forward, and I'm not riding the slide back.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cavey. Mr. Gito.
I was saying much the same thing as Mr. Cavey, quite frankly, that it would be nice to be able to do it, but I don't see a path to do that without having to put all of what we've done and put ourselves back probably a year in time. And I don't think that's, Mr. McCrisky and I will go down in history as having put 2 fire stations in 2 wet areas. We are probably the only board members that will have done that. But we will have done that. And we probably would rather have put them in very dry areas, and I think that we've tried to do that. But the town said, this is good enough. Let's move on. And like the downtown that I was concerned about, when the town says that they are happy with what they've voted on, then by golly, I want to do that because I want the firefighters to have something. And maybe at some future time, the town will have to do something else because it won't be the best decision that we could have made. But sometimes the perfect is the enemy of the good, and I'm of that opinion in this particular case, and I think we need to move forward. So I'm going to vote for the let's move on with our life.
With that said, there's a motion on the table. It has been seconded. All in favor of taking no action?
Aye.
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 Mr. Carrara said no, and I say aye, for the same reasons that were expressed. Thank you very much. Moving right along to the next agenda item, which is the item number 14, consideration of parking agreement for the Armory.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Unless we have a quick resolution for that, I think that we can do 16 and 17 very quickly.
Okay. Item number 16, which is MAPC Metropolitan Area Planning Council, vacancy appointment, Deborah Roberts.
So I would like to nominate Deborah Roberts to represent Stoughton in the MAPC for the vacant seat.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and I vote aye as well.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 17, discuss, discuss interview process for permanent town manager, applicant finalists, Vice Chair Cavey and Mr. McCrisky.
Okay, so I'm going to do this in 30 seconds. But the interviews are going to be on 10/27. I think it's a Thursday. I will send you an email with further information. We do have the order in which the candidates will be showing up. The first one's, so we're going to be starting early. It's going to be 5 o'clock. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, FinCom is meeting in this room on that night.
Okay, so we might have to pick a different room, which would be fine, because it's going to be it should be a relatively small event. But thank you for I should have known to check that. I didn't. So thank you very much. But so the interviews would be on Thursday the 27th at 5:15. Tom Coulter, 6:15. Mike McGovern, 7:15. Yvonne Spicer, and 8:15. Jonathan Beater. Right now, Community Paradigm is completing their query checks, taking care of that for us. They recommend that we each have 2 5-minute questions. So we'll kind of go around the bend. Mr. Cheeto gets 5 minutes, then moves McCrisky, Roberts, and so forth, and then we come back around again for a second loop. So each person will have 2 5-minute increments to ask questions of each candidates, with giving them an opportunity at the beginning and the end for any sort of statement they want to make, and at the end if they want to ask us any questions. That will give them 10 minutes as well of their own time, so that will equal 1 hour apiece. He's going to be asking them to show up close to their time, right? So 5:15, 6:15, and so forth. So we don't have anybody sitting around for 3 hours waiting for a chance to interview. Because of that, he did recommend that we not televise this live or put it over Zoom, or at least that we not broadcast it publicly over Zoom, so that we don't give any unfair advantage to any candidate, and then we just televise it the following day. So those are, I'll write all this up and send it to everybody. If people are in favor of it, if they want to do something else, these are just recommendations.
Any questions from the board regarding what Vice Chair Cavey's his tentative plan of action? Okay.
Basically, what I heard you say was that person is going to come in and we're going to start asking questions, or there's going to be 10 minutes to start, or something like that, or what?
Yeah, so they'll come in, we'll walk through it. They'll come in.
Yeah.
They'll get 5 minutes to give an opening statement. Then we'll go around asking questions.
And that gives them 5 minutes to close, or?
5 minutes apiece, around twice, and then they get 5 minutes to close.
You know, maybe I'm mistaken here, but it seems to me that we ought to have a process where people can give a presentation of themselves that is a little bit longer than what you're describing, and that we can listen to what they say and respond by asking questions about what it is that they have presented. We're starting at 5 o'clock so that we don't go until 11 or something like that. So instead, we're planning to be out of here by 9 o'clock.
This would be closer to 9:30.
Right.
I mean, if everything works out perfectly, yeah, 9:15.
But I mean, if everything works out perfectly.
Yeah.
But this is an extremely important position, very honestly. And based on our discussion, yours and mine, I thought about another way of dealing with this, which is to say, give them some things that you want them to present on. And, I mean, what I passed out isn't necessarily the perfect answer to solution to the problem, but it basically talks about things like, why are you looking for the job here? What is your leadership management style? And give some examples. And tell me a little bit about what integrity is. Tell me a little bit about how you deal with town employees, and perhaps how you do planning and finance and so on. And that, if you want to get something like that, maybe those people should know that their presentation should include those things, so that then we can ask questions about how they have presented themselves, rather than asking cookie cutter questions. I mean, what I passed out, I wasn't expecting to be able to have as final, but I thought that you and Joe and anyone else who wanted to participate could at least put something together that would allow people to describe what they're like, and then are reacting to that. So that might turn into 20 minutes of them talking, and then maybe what we should have is the other 40 or 50 minutes to probe on that. That's the only, that's why I passed the thing out. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is the solution, but it's a different format for doing that, and it's an expectation that everybody will talk about themselves in the same way, at least in their presentation. They can add other things to it, but they'll cover those things, because I think that those things are important. And those are the things that are within the list of topics that Paradigm is putting forward. And rather than trying to put little silos around each one of those things, you're allowing the applicant to create a picture of how they act, what they think. That's what I would do, but. You can do whatever.
Well, my own thought is I do respect that, but we have 5 members of the board, and each will have their own priorities and their own questions that they want to ask and the things they want to
Well, they can.
address. Yeah, so each person will get 10 minutes, and if you want to spend 10 minutes asking these questions because these are your priorities, then it works out. But if we're going to have an introduction, I mean, if we all have to agree on what we care about, and then they have to do an introduction that covers that, and then we may or may not have time to answer the questions based on our own priorities. I think juggling the needs of the candidates, the time commitments, and 5 members of the board and the time that we have. If people feel differently, like I'm not going to tell anybody how to do anything.
I'm sure that they won't.
But I thought this I thought this was fair. But if people didn't,
It's what you presented is fair. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gito, and thank you, Vice Chair Cavey. Mr. McCrisky.
No, so let's finish the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Did you have any comments, Mr. Carrara? Okay. Okay. I thought that was your presentation and your outline was very well suited to this process. I did reflect on when we were interviewing for our town clerk's position. Each person brought a presentation, what they expect to do the first 90 days, first 60 days, which would incorporate our priorities, which could be, it's stated on our website, like what is their communication style, what is their leadership style, have they led, have they led and worked in a municipal government before, and we're looking for them to say something specific to how they're going to hit the ground running. So I think that's right in line with what you were saying. So I think I'm all set if everyone else is all set. Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. We do have this last item, but if the parking, should we move that to the next meeting, or do people want to discuss it now?
Let's just finish it all. I'd like to talk about that tonight.
I don't think we can finish this in a short.
I'd like to do it. We've gone into this long, beaten other things to death. Let's beat one more.
Okay.
It should be quick.
And so this is, thank you, Mr. Krisky and Mr. Carrara. The last item is consideration of parking agreement for Armory sub-parking lot. Mr. McCrisky, can you take the lead? You asked for this.
Everybody got the
lease
conditions that Brian had put on, Lou, that you asked for on this, the parking at the Armory parking lot, the one next door, that the property, this agreement could be taken back for any reason by the town. This is strictly an agreement to let the Provost company allow their employees to park on the parking lot that the company is utilizing now for a cost of $500 per month to the town. It's a one-year contract. Whatever, we just make a motion for a one-year contract agreement. But again, the town can take it back. The point was if there was something of an issue with the water and the sewer lines up there, we leave it right away. It has the proper verbiage. And again, we can put any term we want on it, a year, 6 months. I think a year is a fair contract. And if it doesn't work out, we can take it back for any reason. That's it. I don't think it's a big deal. It helps somebody out. It's similar to what goes on now on Park Ave in the back of the Jones School. There's empty parking space there, and there's a bunch of vans that park there and pay a fee to I believe, the school department. Not sure if that where that goes, but I think it is where it's their property. So this isn't something that's it's a one of a kind. There's another one just like it, and there may be another one. I'm not sure, but I know this would be the second. That's all. So whatever the board decides to do, I'm in favor of it. I don't think it's a big problem. So.
While you have the mic, Mr. McCrisky, your mic wasn't on. Oh my God! Can you please? Did you get any of that, Deborah? Okay. Can you please also address the mechanics or the process for collections? It'll go through the Treasury?
It'll just go through the Treasury, like any other payment. It comes in, it's an agreement. It'll go down to the Treasurer Collector's Office, and it'll be their responsibility to do that and to bring that payment in every month.
Thank you. Mr. Carrara, you had questions or comments?
Well, I got comments.
Yes.
I thought this was a dead issue when Mr. McCrisky told me that the... Can you hear me now? There we go.
Oh, there it is.
I thought this was a dead issue when Mr. McCrisky said that the cars had been moved. I didn't know that we were brokering more deals. And if we were going to have a lease agreement, why wasn't the company asked to come in front and explain why? Why they didn't pick a site big enough for their business that nobody else in town got a chance to park here. This agreement says to park and store vehicles. That doesn't mean just parking. Storing. What are we storing? Because if you read it and you understand it, there's no designation that says where it's going to be used. It says the whole parcel, as long as it doesn't interfere with town of Stoughton stuff. That's how it reads, which means, are we going to move equipment from that side because he didn't have a big enough area? There's plenty of area he can rent from. We lease property to youth organizations. That benefits the residents in this town because they're getting something for it. We're now going to open up becoming a lease company to people who weren't smart enough to figure the size of their business. And when they figure the size of their businesses, they're supposed to have adequate parking. If they deal with the public, they have visitor parking. And to show you, down on 138, there's a guy that was changing his license, and we had to make sure there was parking for this and parking for that. Now we throw all that out the window, and we're going to help somebody out, and I don't know why. Why can't we have people park their motorhomes there that can't park them in their yards or park their boats there? Residents given that chance. Why wasn't any other companies given the chance to park on this property? It's not up to the town of Stoughton. Another board, that some members are here, they took a vote not to give any parking out. Guy asked for 3 lousy parking spaces. He was held up for 5 years in the square because he couldn't get 3 parking spaces out of the Randolph parking lot, the bank. How does he feel? I know everybody's shaking their head. It's already cut in stone. But it benefits nobody, no residents. Businesses are in business to take care of themselves. There's enough property down there where he can go and get parking from someplace else. Right now, he's parking in the grass strip, which isn't allowed. He's outside the fence. There's a 15-foot grass strip. I know zoning. I know what's going on. And I pointed it out to Mr. McCrisky. That's why they have the fence. You take a look at the road, that's why it was, and now the cars aren't parked there. It's not up to the town of Stoughton, but I'm going to tell you what. Somebody gets hurt, the long arm of the law, when a lawsuit comes, they step over, and we become spending town money to defend ourselves why we did it. I didn't know we sent an RFP out for this, did we? To lease property, or are we just going to do it? Never came in, never even asked us, never came in, gave us the chance to talk why. But yet, let's slide it through in 10 minutes for $500. You should talk about the other agreement, the first one, that was $50 a week, which was $200. If you really want to know what it's worth, I could tell you what it's worth. Because it doesn't say he's limited to one area. It doesn't say it. It says parcel number such and such, which is the armory, which gives him the right to do exactly what's in here. Park and store.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. And I'll
Can I
come
get a
back,
second?
and I'll come back with everything Mr. Carrara wants.
Can I get a second to adjourn?
I want him in front of me.
All in favor? Oh,
And why it's happening.
Second it.
Why is
Okay, all
Joe
in fa-
brokering the deal?
discussion on adjourning the meeting so we can get the additional information? We'll come back. Motion is on the table.
If you're
It's been
satisfied, you guys do what you want. I'm just
No,
pointing
we-
out that the residents should not be footing this.
So the motion on the table, there's a motion on the table, and the reason for the motion is Mr. McCrisky is going to get the information and present it, and we will put it back on the agenda. So this motion...
Madam Chair, we were talking about the item before, the parking item before the motion to adjourn was made. The motion to adjourn was not part of the discussion, and it's not a motion that I believe you can just make in the middle of another motion, to my knowledge. And
No other
I'm
motion,
not,
though.
huh?
There wasn't another motion.
No, but there was something that we were discussing, and all of a sudden, in the middle of it, we decided that we were going to go. We didn't even table this thing here, and where I'm going with this is that Mr. Carrara would like to have the person come before us with the proposal, not to have another proposal come with answers to the question. Because if...
Wait just a minute, Mr. McCrisky.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Just keep talking and talking and talking.
we are conducting business right now, and you can leave.
Labs at 10:30 at night too, Lou, so.
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry that I brought up some
No,
What the...
But they're
to add
very
some
important concerns.
The point of clarification is, and maybe everyone didn't hear what Mr. McCrisky, I just happen to be sitting right next to him. He said he's going to get the additional information and
No, you
and
don't
I believe it
understand.
was the person.
It's not up to Mr. McCrisky to do that.
Okay.
It's up to, this person is acting like an applicant. We've already got a lease that's been worked up twice by town council, and the person isn't even in here to ask why, so that we can ask him questions why. All of a sudden, we're just going to broker the whole Armory property over, and it's because somebody made a mistake in the size of their business or the adequate area they should have been renting. I know people are shrugging their shoulders and saying I'm not being fair. This is town-owned property. It's not benefiting us to lease this out. He was parking there illegally. He went down to the Public Works and supposedly brokered a deal down there that never came across the desk here. And it's being done again. People come in this town, they open their businesses, they have the proper spaces, the proper square footage. I'm not on the Facebook, but I'm told different things about this company and what it does. Evidently, it isn't big enough. I know it's not big enough. And when you come in and you open a business like that on a piece of property, especially in a commercial or industrial area, you've got to have what they want. That's a parking plan and stuff like that.
7 minutes after 11, and we were determined to be done by 10:45, and we...
I wasn't trying to trash anyone. All I was trying to do was get back to what I thought was a reasonable next step in this. If we are going to have more information, one of our members at least wanted the person to come here, along with whatever information was needed. And we seem to be bypassing that request without any discussion at all about it. And I didn't think that that was fair.
In all due
so
respect,
I'm
Mr.
happy
Gito,
that...
in all due respect, no one was bypassing what Mr. Carrara was saying. You probably didn't hear what Mr. McCrisky said. He was trying to table or postpone the conversation so he could get the additional information, and we didn't even get to the point of if we were going to invite the owner of Provost here. We didn't even get that far. We did say that we were going to end the meeting at 10:45.
Yes.
And now, so we're at an impasse right now.
No, I would like to end the meeting, but I would like to end the meeting with the understanding that if we're going to get the information, that we're going to get the person as well. That's the only point that I was making, and I wasn't trying to say that we were bypassing a part of that without, inadvertently, but we were doing it, and there was no need to do that. And so I'm happy to get out of here. I really am.
Well, that's good. That's good, because what our next steps are to have the information, have a more robust conversation about this agreement, because we're all coming from different perspectives, right? My perspective is that maybe this owner has outgrown their current location, so they need a stopgap measure until they can get to a new place. And this is to temporarily park and store vehicles at the Armory. So that's one thing, but we don't have all the information that Mr. Carrara was seeking. So was this a growth that this organization, Provost, outgrow their current location, or what's is this just a temporary? Does he really need a full year?
That's
why, so we have questions.
Why the applicant should have been in here first, so that everybody was on the same page, that knew what was going to be asked of us. And we could have decided then if we were going to go forward and enter into any agreements.
So
it has nothing to do with Mr. McCrisky researching and getting the information. It has everything to do, we didn't tell baseball, the Cal Ripken people, to stay home and let's just put the lights up for them. Don't worry, we have all the information. You guys stay home. We won't even have to amend that license.
So you brought up a valid point. Sometime in the recent past, a previous board member said, hey, we're not in the property management business. So now what are we doing? We're changing our philosophy because we're new people, but we have to talk this through. But it is rather late, and there is a motion on the table to adjourn. But we are going to revisit.
I don't know if that's how you handle things, but you don't just shut somebody up and say, I'm adjourning. I've already been. This will be the third time I've been censored, and, my thought means nothing. I can count the vote already. So maybe we're wasting our time.
What vote are we counting?
To adjourn?
No.
What?
that the information just is, maybe things are black and white with me, that we have applicants come in and bring information to us to make a decision. I don't appreciate a board member bringing the information in unless we ask them to. And then he gets mad at me because I'm trying to put stuff out there, and I always say, the what-ifs. You're asking for trouble storing equipment or trucks on town-owned property. That's all I'm telling you. We're not in that business. I don't even know if we have the proper insurance to do that, because there's warehousing insurance.
Is it zoned for it?
No.
You know, that's where I was going with my whole questioning, but I didn't get a chance to even
No,
have
the
my
Armory
questions.
is a pre-existing non-conforming lot. It was there before 71. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, but it'd have to be continuous use for that to be true, right?
what's that?
It hasn't been an armory for how long? A couple of
No,
years?
it's just town-owned property.
Yeah.
And
But
the deal that Joe was putting up, because there's buses parked someplace, they were doing it because they were doing it for fast response and stuff, because the buses were going to be out of town because the out-of-town person bid it. And they couldn't work a deal with Unders, because Unders was moving to being sold and it ended up being rented. There's a long history to it. But
I understand.
that's the school department. That has nothing to do with us.
Ask the question is that for it to be non-conforming, it has to actually have a continuing use.
Could I recommend that if we're going into the history of something, that we're not really talking about the issue itself at the present time?
I was good with adjourning.
And I would like to get
if we're going
back
to do it, let's do it.
to the.
Do you want to table this? Because that's the way to do it.
That's
you don't
right.
just adjourn.
So we're going to table the discussion about that agenda item, which is the Armory parking.
You can
Provost-
table it to
Provost agreement to a future
meeting,
That's fine with
that
me.
when the
meeting.
information comes forth or whatever.
But we do have an adjourn, okay. We have a motion on the table to adjourn our meeting. It has been second.
We need to table
We
this.
need to
We
table
need to
this
table
other
this, so
thing.
can I
And then
have a
we'll
motion?
entertain the
Can I
the
have a
other one.
motion to,
So made.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Now you can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the
Aye.
meeting?
Second.
Can I get it? All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.